Chapter 151. Xuanji. Jiang Shui leaped into Zhou Xuanji's arms in surprise and cried tears of joy. The others also gathered around and started asking questions at the same time. Revered teacher, what happened? You were not captured by Tanhua Sect's suzerain? Good boy. You really won the World Hero Conference. Quick, tell us. Yeah, tell us. Facing the crowd's excitement and curiosity, Zhou Xuanji did not hide anything. He started from the World Hero Conference and even told them about his encounter with Lin Guanyu and the inheritance of the Hegemon Sword Emperor. The little black snake arched its body and looked at Chongming Demon Monarch with its forked tongue. Chongming Demon Monarch sensed its gaze and turned around. Their eyes met. It felt like a needle meeting an awn. Could it be the black snake that Master talked about? Very powerful? Chongming Demon Monarch raised his brow and thought with squinted eyes. I must teach it a lesson in the future. The little black snake did not know what he was thinking but thought in his heart. This guy looks mighty, and it's a bull demon. I will have another mount in the future. After Zhou Xuanji finished, the group sighed in amazement. Master is really fortunate to have gained something from a disaster, Huang Lianxin said with admiration, and so did the others. Zhou Xuanji said it casually, but everyone understood the difficulty. To defeat the Hegemon Sword Emperor, who was at the same stage, and to use his understanding of the way of the sword to convince the Hegemon Sword Emperor. In this world, who else could do it other than Zhou Xuanji? Daoya old man rubbed his chin and mumbled, "It shouldn't be. Xian Xianghua let you go. This is not like her. None of the men she captured survived." Jiang Shui hugged Zhou Xuanji's arm and said proudly, "Of course. Our Xuanji is so handsome. She must be moved." Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Tsongyin, Bei Xiao Wangjian, and Han Xinbua heard her and burst into laughter. The little black snake came over and asked, "How does that Su Xianxian look like? She is the top beauty in Great Shang. Are you moved?" Zhou Xuanji glanced at it and said, "Your rations for this month are gone." With this, the little black snake's expression changed. I was wrong." The little black snake quickly came over and begged pitifully. Zhou Xuanji ignored it. Jiang Shui snorted and stared at it, saying, "Add another half a month." The little black snake felt as if it had been struck by lightning, instantly feeling extremely wronged. Zhou Xuanji passed a thunder core grass to Daoya old man and said, "Old man, rest well." Daoya old man laughed and left with the thunder core grass. "I've obtained quite a few sword techniques. Once I've mastered them, I'll give each of you a copy." Zhou Xuanji said to Xiao Jinghong and the others. He did not let them finish the Hegemon Sword Emperor's sword techniques, not because he was stingy, but because not everyone had the supreme legendary sword system like him. They would have to spend several years, or even more, just to practice a single sword technique. Giving them too many sword techniques at once would cause them to become lost. Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Tsongjian, Bei Xiao Wangjian, and Huang Lianxin were pleasantly surprised. Shortly after, Zhou Xuanji introduced Chongming Demon Monarch to them and claimed that Chongming Demon Monarch would be the team's tank. The group became curious immediately. It was a little extravagant to use a 7th-ranked demon as a tank. Chongming Demon Monarch did not know what a tank was, but he still patted his chest and smiled. "Don't worry, I will fulfill my duty as a tank." Many years later, he would deeply regret this promise. The group dispersed. Zhou Xuanji pulled Jiang Shui to a corner and whispered to her. When he was captured by Xian Xianghua, the person he thought about the most was Jiang Shui. In this world, in his heart, he could let go of anyone but Jiang Shui. Jiang Shui appeared to be very happy. She grabbed Zhou Xuanji and told him about what happened during this period of time. When Zhou Xuanji was away, some demons and cultivators passed by occasionally. Some demons even barged into the underground cave, but they were all dealt with by them. The two chatted for a long time until they were tired. Jiang Shui walked to the side to cultivate, while Zhou Xuanji began to inspect the Hegemon Sword Emperor's sword techniques. There were a total of 13 sword techniques and 3 cultivation techniques. He already had the sword Qi Golden Body incantation but he could not cultivate too many energy techniques. Otherwise, his spirit energy would become chaotic and his golden core would shatter. The highest grade sword technique was heaven grade low tier. It was called the Sky Dominating Divine Sword. 5 of the remaining sword techniques were earth grade, while the rest were black grade sword techniques. Finally, a heaven grade sword technique. Zhou Xuanji delved his divine will into the scroll in his hand delightedly. Next, images appeared in his mind. It was a black shadow dancing with a sword. Its figure was exactly the same as the hegemon sword emperor. The sky-dominating divine sword was all about domineering. A single slash could dominate everything and cut through the heavens. He had encountered this slash before in the examination. If not for his many legendary swords, he might not have been able to withstand it. The sky-dominating divine sword had a total of 109 sword moves. After mastering them, one could master the sky-dominating divine sword. Each of these sword moves could change the direction of the flow of spirit energy. After the 109 sword moves, the spirit energy would circulate in one's body for a full cycle, forming a domineering aura. He took out the chicken slaying sword and began practicing. Seeing him practicing, Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, Beishao Wangjian, and Huang Lianxin stopped and observed. After 100 times, sky-dominating divine sword reached small accomplishment. After 300 times, sky-dominating divine sword reached great accomplishment. After 500 times, sky-dominating divine sword reached sword will. Boom! The entire underground cave shook violently, and everyone turned to look. Zhou Xuanji stood still with the chicken slaying sword in his hand. A layer of faint white radiance appeared around his body, as though a layer of flame aura was burning. His entire aura became incredibly powerful. Just by standing there, he gave off an indescribable domineering aura. Heaven grade sword technique. The old man opened his eyes wide and cried out in shock. Everyone's expressions changed when they heard this. Heaven grade, no matter if it was a spell or an energy technique, once it reached heaven grade, the difficulty of cultivating it would increase tremendously. Most people who obtained a heaven grade technique might not even be able to cultivate it successfully in their lifetime. How long did Zhou Xuanji take? Although they were already used to it, they were still shocked when they heard that it was a heaven grade sword technique. Zhao Songjian looked down at his hand and gritted his teeth. Comparing oneself to others is really infuriating. Zhou Xuanji continued to practice his sword technique. Top-tier earth-grade sword technique, chilling wave sound wave. This sword technique was suitable for the heaven sound sword. After 500 times, he easily formed the sword will. Xiao Jinghong and the others turned around and did not want to watch anymore. If they continued to watch, they were worried that they would develop inner demons. It was Chongming Demon Monarch's first time seeing Zhou Xuanji practicing his sword technique. He was petrified and stood rooted to the spot. This brat's talent. No wonder he could receive the hegemon sword emperor's inheritance with such talent. He could dominate the northern wilderness region and defeat Xian Xianghua in just 1,000 years. He suddenly became excited. Only now did he truly feel that it was an opportunity to become Zhou Xuanji's disciple. A great opportunity. In just 10 days, Zhou Xuanji mastered all the sword techniques in the hegemon sword emperor's inheritance. Daoya Old Man channeled his energy to heal himself as he shook his head and said, "Freak, freak." Chapter 152. The more Daoya Old Man thought about it, the more unbalanced he felt. His chi and blood became chaotic, and he coughed. Zhou Xuanji stored his sword and looked at him. "Old man, can you do it? Is half of your body going to be buried?" Daoya Old Man stared at him and said, "I'm a land immortal. It's not a problem for me to live for another 3,000 years." Zhou Xuanji smiled and walked over. "How should I use the thunder core grass?" Now, he was willing to believe in Daoya Old Man. Although the old man was not always serious, he was not afraid of death for him. Zhou Xuanji was always grateful. "Take it out. I will boil it into a medicinal soup for you. Sit in the cauldron and activate your energy technique." Daoya Old Man got up and said. After that, he took out his giant cauldron. Zhou Xuanji took out two 10,000-year-old thunder core grass and passed them to him. Daoya Old Man threw the thunder core grass into the cauldron straight away, then took out other spirit herbs and flowers and threw them in as well. The others came over. They wanted to see the effects of the thunder core grass. Daoya Old Man waved his right hand, and the lake water flew into the cauldron. A blue flame burned at the bottom of the cauldron, and he began to concoct the medicine easily. Jiang Shui asked worriedly, "Will it be very painful?" Looking at the boiling medicinal water, she was worried for Zhou Xuanji. Of course it will be painful. It's the pain of millions of worms devouring your body. Daoya Old Man said matter-of-factly, which made Jiang Shui open her eyes wide. Beishao Wang Jian mumbled, "A 10,000-year-old medicinal herb. How powerful is the spiritual qi in it?" The others nodded and expressed their own opinions. Zhou Xuanji stared at them and said unpleasantly, "Are you trying to scare me? Do you think I'm afraid of pain?" Back then, when he used the Furious Ape Sword and the God Emperor's Sword, the pain was excruciating. Daoya Old Man looked at Xiao Jinghong and the others and said, "When you are free, you can go out and collect herbs. During this period of time, the more medicinal effects he absorbs, the higher his cultivation will be." Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and Beishao Wang Jian left immediately. Han Shenhua also left and dived into the lake. From now on, if you want to go out, you can. Just don't go too far. Daoya Old Man continued to say, and the eyes of Jiang Shui, Huang Lianxin, and Big and Small Air brightened. It could be said that they were suffocated in the underground cave, especially our Big and Small Air. It had been a long time since they had flown freely. What if Lin Guanyu attacks again? Huang Lianxin asked hesitantly. Lin Guanyu was a powerful existence that could annihilate their entire team. Daoya Old Man waved his hand and said, he was already scared out of his wits by Xian Xianghua. After knowing that Xianji was captured by Xian Xianghua, why would he stay in Great Shang? Chongming Demon Monarch nodded and said, "That's right. You guys didn't see it. When Xian Xianghua told him to scram, he did. He was so cowardly, unlike me, who was so arrogant and warned her not to harm my master." Everyone rolled their eyes. Over the past few days, they had also gotten to know Chongming Demon Monarch. It was another little black snake. "All right, you can enter the cauldron now," Daoya Old Man reminded. Zhou Xuanji took off the white dragon golden robe and leaped into the cauldron with only a pair of pants on. As soon as he entered the cauldron, he felt as if his skin was about to explode. He subconsciously entered the Vajra invincibility state, and his entire body seemed to be gilded. Streaks of golden light emerged from the cauldron, incomparably resplendent. Jiang Shui was sitting not far away. She hugged her legs and looked at the cauldron quietly. Daoya Old Man walked to her side and sat down. "I realize that you are very similar to his mother," he said with a smile. Jiang Shui rolled her eyes and said, "Grand Teacher, what do you mean?" She had already become familiar with Daoya Old Man. To some extent, Daoya Old Man was already her teacher. Daoya Old Man often said that she was like Zhou Xuanji's mother. Initially, she did not mind, but after a while, she felt that something was not right. You guys are usually very quiet, but when you meet the man you love, your heart will be in a mess. Daoya Old Man sighed in amazement. His eyes were immersed in reminiscence. Back then, when Zhao Xin met Emperor Yin of Zhou, she was dead set on him. I could not persuade her no matter what. She even wanted to break off our master-disciple relationship. This is fate. Although I divined that it was an ill-fated relationship, I was soft-hearted and did not stop it completely. In the end, she died, but I believe that she did not regret it. Jiang Shui thought about it and asked, was it because of Xuanji that she did not regret it? Daoya Old Man shook his head and smiled. No, Xuanji is only part of the reason. If you and Xuanji have a child in the future, which is more important, the child or Xuanji? Having heard this, Jiang Shui blushed immediately. She complained coquettishly, "Grand Teacher, what are you talking about?" "Huh?" Daoya Old Man laughed heartily as he stroked his long beard. The old and the young talked about the past. Zhou Xuanji, on the other hand, was in torment and did not pay attention to his surroundings. Next, every day, Daoya old man would add water and herbs into the cauldron. His cultivation broke through consecutively, and he felt like he was soaring like a rocket. The thunder core grass contained a massive amount of lightning energy, which made his physical strength grow day by day. In the forest, Xiao Jinghong and Zhao Songjian chatted as they walked forward. Be careful when you swing your sword. The lighter, the better. This kind of sword technique is all about being casual. Xiao Jinghong reminded Zhao Songjian. Most of the time, he was the one teaching Zhao Songjian. Until now, he was already used to it and even enjoyed it. Seeing Zhao Songjian's growth gave him a sense of achievement. Zhao Songjian nodded and said, "Whatever. I feel that my mental state is still not good enough. I need to train it. Take it slow. More haste makes waste. Don't compare yourself to my revered teacher." Xiao Jinghong said with a smile. Zhao Songjian agreed with him. Ever since they followed Zhou Xuanji, the pride in their hearts was completely gone. Following Zhou Xuanji, they no longer felt that they were geniuses. Rustle, rustle, rustle. At this moment, the trees and bushes in front of them began to shake. A white wolf covered in blood walked out shakily. There was a young man on its back. The young man was wearing a blue shirt and had messy hair. He had already fainted on the wolf's back and was hugging the white wolf's neck tightly. Xiao Jinghong and Zhao Songjian stopped and frowned. The white wolf walked up to them and collapsed on the ground. "I beg you, save my young master. He is the prince of Great Shun. If you help him," the white wolf said weakly. Before it could finish its sentence, it breathed its last. "Great Shun." Zhao Songjian frowned and looked terrible. "There's an enemy," Xiao Jinghong said softly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Numerous darts flew out from the depths of the forest and cut the leaves. They were extremely fast. Xiao Jinghong drew his sword and swung, and all the darts fell to the ground. "This is Haoqi Alliance's business. I advise you to stay far away, or else you will die without a burial place." A cold voice rang out. Then, dozens of black-clothed men appeared on the surrounding trees like night eagles. Zhao Songjian snorted coldly. The other party killed them straight away. They saw that they were not weak, so they threatened them. How could they let this go? Chapter 153. Are we going to fight? Zhao Songjian looked at Xiao Jinghong and asked softly. He did not take these people seriously at all. Xiao Jinghong nodded and said, "Leave that nascent soul fellow to me. I'll leave the others to you." Zhao Songjian did not have any objections. The two of them disappeared almost at the same time. The battle broke out immediately, after the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. The two of them returned to their original spot. The surrounding trees had fallen, and there were bloodstains everywhere. The dozens of Haoqi Alliance cultivators had all died tragically in the forest. Their hands were full of storage rings and storage bags. Zhou Xuanji taught them well. They could not fight for nothing. They checked the items, then took out some cloth and wrapped them up. "Should I save this prince of Great Shun?" Zhao Songjian asked. He frowned slightly. It was obvious that he did not want any trouble. Xiao Jinghong said expressionlessly, "We've already saved him. What else can we do? Go home." "All right." The two of them hit it off and turned to leave. The blue-clothed youth lay motionless on the white wolf's back like a corpse. After returning to the underground cave, Xiao Jinghong and Xiao Yu told the others about this matter. They were not too surprised by the Prince of Great Shun. After all, there was a Prince of Greizhou here. Let's talk about it after Xuanji finishes his breakthrough. If he can't even hold on for half a month, even if we save him, he will still die prematurely in the future. Daoya, old man, waved his sleeves, his face full of indifference. There were many matters of life and death in the world, but how many could they care about? They had already saved the Prince of Great Shun. The rest was up to his fate. No one had any objections. Zhou Xuanji, who was covered in gold, was still sitting in the cauldron. Steam was rising from his body, and he frowned. The medicinal water around him was boiling and bubbling, which was intimidating. Another 10 days passed. Zhou Xuanji broke through to Soul Fountain Level 7. Congratulations, sword owner, for obtaining glorious gold. He Jiao. The sword spirit's voice suddenly sounded in his mind, causing him to open his eyes. Then, 3 lines of words appeared in front of him. Sword name, He 9, level, glorious gold description. The beloved sword of the He Sword Emperor of the 9 Emperors of the Way of the Sword. It is invincible in the mortal world and contains the power to destroy heaven and earth. It was the glorious gold divine sword. Zhou Xuanji was pleasantly surprised. No wonder the He Sword Emperor was the most famous and the last ancient sword emperor. After him, no other sword cultivator was recognized as a sword emperor by heaven and earth. He didn't feel that the He Sword Emperor was stronger than the sky-rending sword emperor. He only felt that the He Sword Emperor was more generous. The Sky-Sundering Emperor sword was definitely not the best treasure sword of the Sky-Sundering Sword Emperor. That fellow was extremely stingy, and that was why he was only able to learn 2 sword arts. The most outrageous thing was that Sky-Splitting Sword Emperor Wang Xiaofei had set up dozens of stages. Every time he thought about it, he couldn't help but despise Wang Xiaofei. He did not take out He Jiao immediately. He had plenty of time in the future. He continued to cultivate and absorb the energy within the potion. Time continued to pass. 12 days later, he forcefully broke through to the first level of the nascent soul realm. Under his inner vision, a small nascent soul was condensed in his body. It had the same face as him. The spiritual qi in his muscles and bones surged into the nascent soul and condensed spiritual qi together with the golden core. His spiritual power began to skyrocket. Compared to the 10th level of the spirit spring stage, the spirit energy of the first level of the nascent soul stage was more than 10 times stronger. Analyze that the sword owner has reached the nascent soul realm. Gotcha started. Ding! Congratulations! The sword owner has obtained Gold Great Dream Sword, Evil Revealing Mirror, and 10 stalks of Concealing Grass. Golden Divine Sword? Zhou Xuanji was indifferent, but he was more interested in the Evil Mirror and the Concealing Grass. Great Dream Sword's information appeared before his eyes. Sword name, Great Dream Sword Grade. Gold description, made from an ancient bewildering rock. It can easily trap people in illusion. Not bad. He liked to trap people in illusion. Evil Revealing Mirror can reveal the true form of all evil spirits. Of course, if one's cultivation is too high, the mirror will not work. Concealing Grass can make one invisible and conceal one's aura for an hour. The sword spirit introduced to Zhou Xuanji, and he was satisfied. They all have their uses. It will be much more convenient for me to travel around the world in the future, especially the Concealing Grass, which can help me escape. Shortly after, he continued to realize the new stage. The effect of the potion had not ended yet, so he could continue to sit. Not far away, Deoya Old Man, Jiang Shui, Xiao Jinghong, and the rest gathered together. He really broke through to the astral infant stage. So fast, Xiao Jinghong mumbled to himself. His tone was filled with envy. Deoya Old Man chuckled. Don't even think about it. You are not physical cultivators, so you cannot withstand the overpowering effect of the Thunder Core Grass. He endured a month of pain and suffering. Most people would not be able to endure it. The group nodded. Their hearts were filled with admiration. In this month, they did not hear a single groan from Zhou Xuanji. His tenacity impressed them. The little black snake praised. You are indeed worthy of being the person that I like. Chongming Demon Monarch laughed with disdain. Master, you are wrong. You are not worthy to be with us. You, the little black snake trembled in anger. If not for its lack of power, it would have fought Chongming Demon Monarch to the death. Another 3 days passed. Zhou Xuanji leaped out from the cauldron. His body was golden, and bolts of lightning surrounded him. His eyes were filled with lightning, and he looked majestic. The muscles on his upper body were perfectly defined, and they were well-proportioned without losing their beauty of power. Jiang Shui and Huang Lianxin were mesmerized by him. He quickly leaped into the lake and prepared to take a bath. The lightning dispersed along with the lake water. A big and small air, who were playing in the water, were electrocuted as well. They flew out of the lake immediately and crashed into the cave wall above, almost fainting. The group saw this and burst out in laughter. Deoya old man stroked his long beard and praised the power of lightning. This kid is really talented in physical cultivation. He is indeed from the royal bloodline of Great Zhou. He has the demeanor of his father. Zhou Xuanji quickly walked out of the lake. With a shake of his body, the water on his body evaporated. I heard that Emperor Yin of Zhou was also a great accomplishment in physical cultivation. He could crush a mountain with a single palm strike. Xiao Jinghong said softly, and curiosity could be seen in his eyes. He really wanted to know how powerful Zhou Xuanji would be in the future. Would he be like the hegemon Sword Emperor, suppressing an era? Zhou Xuanji put on the white dragon golden robe and opened his right arm. Jiang Shui quickly leaped into his embrace, and the group jeered. Dog food again. Damn it, I'm not convinced. The little black snake complained, and he was sent flying away by Chongming Demon Monarch's kick. The meaning of dog food was taught to them by Zhou Xuanji. After following Zhou Xuanji for a long time, they learned many new terms from Earth. Zhou Xuanji stretched his neck and smiled. I feel good. Let's go. Let's roast some wild game and take out some good wine to celebrate. How about it? Sure. Beixiao Wangjian clapped his hands and agreed. He looked at Zhou Xuanji passionately, as though he was looking at a peerless beauty. Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and Huang Lianxin were the same. Zhou Xuanji had successfully broken through. Next, he could teach them more powerful sword techniques. They were excited just thinking about it. The group packed up and left the cave quickly. After they came ashore, they saw a silhouette. 20 meters away, a young man in tattered blue clothes was washing his face. Zhou Xuanji and his companions suddenly barged in, and he fell to the ground out of fear. He stepped back in fear and cried out, "Don't come over! I'm the Prince of Great Chun." Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes and said, "So what if you're the Prince of Great Chun?" "I'm the Prince of Great Zhou." "Yeah. I'm the Grand Teacher of the Prince of Great Zhou," Deoya old man said with a wicked smile. Chapter 154. Prince of Great Zhou. The young man in blue was stunned and stopped retreating. Zhou Xuanji, Jiang Shui, and the rest dried their clothes with their spirit energy and did not walk toward him. He came back to his senses and said, "This is Great Shang. How can there be a Prince of Great Zhou?" Great Shang and Great Zhou were mortal enemies. They could not coexist. Did a Prince of Great Zhou come to Great Shang because he was tired of living? Zhou Xuanji put his arm on Jiang Shui's shoulder and snorted. "What's wrong with you guys? There's someone nearby, and you didn't even realize it. When the fire reaches your butts, will you still be sleeping?" Whenever he had the chance, he would educate his disciples and sword slaves. He felt great about it. Zhao Songjian said shamefully, "Actually, we noticed him long ago. We were the ones who saved him from Haoqi Alliance." Zhou Xuanji frowned. Haoqi Alliance? The young man in blue opened his eyes wide and cried out in excitement. "You guys were the ones who saved him?" He dashed toward Zhou Xuanji and the rest in surprise. That day, when he woke up and saw the corpses around him, he was terrified. He was looking for his benefactor in the forest, but to no avail. After that, he hid in the forest. It was not because he was stupid, but because he was too weak. He could not escape at all. There were too many powerful demons lurking around. He almost had a mental breakdown because he could survive until today. Xiao Jinghong drew his sword and pointed it at his throat. The young man was so frightened that he stopped immediately. "What are you trying to do?" Xiao Jinghong asked coldly without any expression. He was dressed in black and had a cold face. He looked so fierce and ferocious. The young man in blue trembled in fear and began to back away. He raised his hands and cried out in fear, "I have no ill intentions. I just want to thank you." Chongming Demon Monarch snorted disdainfully. "What do you have to thank me? Your flesh?" After that, he suddenly turned into the head of a bull. He looked hideous and horrifying. His roar shook the forest. "Ah, The young man in blue fell to the ground in fear. His pants were wet in an instant. Zhou Xuanji slapped Chongming Demon Monarch to the ground. He was so powerful now that Chongming Demon Monarch was caught off guard and fell to the ground. You want to roar us to death? Zhou Xuanji stared at him. Chongming Demon Monarch sat paralyzed on the ground and covered his face. At first glance, she looked like a wild wife. The little black snake laid on top of Small Fool's head and laughed loudly. It was extremely excited. Even an old man like you would have such a day. Keep working. Learn from me. Don't stop. Han Shinbua shook his head and sighed. A rank 7 great demon has no dignity at all. When Chongming Demon Monarch heard this, he wanted to find a hole to hide in. Daoya, old man, suddenly had a blade of grass in his mouth. He said carelessly, "Are you going or not? Let's go to the top of the mountain and roast some wild game. Don't waste time." Zhou Xuanji nodded and flew on his sword with Jiang Shui in his arms. The others followed closely behind. The group quickly disappeared on the other side of the forest. The blue-clothed youth stood rooted to the spot, unable to come to his senses for a long time. Soon, Zhou Xuanji and the others landed on a mountain. Chongming Demon Monarch chopped down pieces of rocks to make seats for everyone. Beixiao Wangjian and Zhao Songjian went hunting. Zhou Xuanji sat down, and Jiang Shui obediently sat beside him. The others also sat down one after another. Even the three-eyed drought rodent jumped out, looking very happy. Xiao Jinghong put down the sword in his hand and sighed in amazement. Actually, this kind of life is not bad. With the sword in all of you, there's no need for conflict. Huang Lianxi nodded. She was already used to the group. She might not be used to living alone. Daoya, old man, stroked his long beard and said with a smile, "Cherish it. Such days will not last long. Where there are people, there will be conflict. Sometimes, even if you don't fight, there will be people who will fight you. In the cycle of the heavens, who can escape the fate of the human world?" The group was in deep thought. These words made them feel sad and heavy. Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes and said, "T. If someone fights you, it's you who deserves it." Daoya, old man, stared at him and scolded, "Brat, show some respect. I risked my life to save you." The little black snake snorted, "I don't like you either. You always pour cold water on me." Jiang Shui and Huang Lianxin covered their mouths and laughed out loud. Xiao Jinghong and Han Shinbua laughed as well. Chongming Demon Monarch nodded and said seriously, "You're right. You too, it's over. Be careful when you sleep next time." Daoya, old man's beard trembled in anger, and his face turned red. Zhou Xuanji said with a smile, "Conflict is nothing. As long as we work together, any enemy will be defeated by us." The group nodded and smiled confidently. Along the way, they had encountered many dangers, but they all overcame them. One day, we will stand at the top of the world, and no one will dare to offend us. Zhou Xuanji's words made the group's blood boil. They all believed in this. Chongming Demon Monarch chuckled. "If there's an opportunity, we must find Xian Xianghua to settle the score. That old demonic woman always scares us. Do you know that every time before she kills someone, she will make up a story? It's always when I was young." He began to talk incessantly, and the group cried out in shock from time to time. They did not expect Xian Xianghua to be so brutal. A while later, Zhao Songjian and Beixiao Wangjian returned with 3 wild rabbits and boars each. Huang Lianxin took out some firewood, while Jiang Shui cast a spell to start a fire. They began to roast the wild animals. The atmosphere was joyful, and they talked and laughed. Zhou Xuanji took out some wine and bowls and chopsticks. Each of them had a bowl of wine, and they toasted each other. Unknowingly, Chongming Demon Monarch became one with them. Although he was often beaten up, he felt that it was not bad. At least he was not lonely. In the past, when he was in his own territory, he basically slept every day. Now that he was with Zhou Xuanji, he was forced to cultivate. In Zhou Xuanji's words, his life became more active. Just when the group was talking and laughing, the young man in blue climbed up the mountain carefully. Beixiao Wangjian stared at him and said fiercely, "Why are you up here? Get lost." The young man in blue cried out in panic I know about the Tianxia map. If you send me back to Great Shun, I will tell you where it is. Han Shenhua, Chongming Demon Monarch, the little black snake, and Daoya Old Man were all shocked. Xiao Jinghong frowned and said, Tianxia map? Isn't that a legend? How can you take it seriously? Zhou Xuanji, Jiang Shui, Huang Lianxin, Zhao Songjian, and Beishao Wangjian were all stunned. Tianxia map? What's that? It's true. It's because I know the whereabouts of the Tianxia map that I ended up like this. Both the orthodox and evil sects are looking for the Tianxia map. The young man in blue was anxious and quickly explained. Zhou Xuanji could not help but ask, What's the Tianxia map? It sounded very powerful. Legend has it that a long time ago, even before the Hegemon Sword Emperor, the human ancestor created the Tianxia map, which could stabilize the fate of the entire human race. Whoever has the Tianxia map can rule the world. Daoya Old Man said, which made Zhou Xuanji roll his eyes. Why does it sound so immature? Han Shenhua said, Every person who has the Tianxia map once unified the world. If a demon obtains it, the world will be called the Year of the Demon, and demons will bring disaster to all living beings. If a ghost obtains it, the world will be called the Year of the Ghost, like the Netherworld. Chapter 155. Could it be that demons and ghosts obtained the Tianxia map in the past and controlled the world from there? Zhou Xuanji asked curiously. He suddenly felt that he should understand the history of this world. However, even if he wanted to understand it, it would be very difficult, because the historical records from 10,000 years ago were very difficult to find. They were all sealed by the various dynasties and factions. Daoya Old Man stroked his beard, a look of reminiscence on his face. It was as if he had unlocked a long-sealed memory in his mind. He said faintly, In ancient times, there were ghost emperors and demon emperors. During those chaotic times, the human race wasn't as prosperous as it is now. There were even food for the various races. Jiang Shui, Huang Lianxin, and Beishao Wangjian looked at him curiously, waiting for him to continue and unveil the mysterious veil of ancient history. However, Daoya Old Man did not continue speaking. Instead, he picked up a bowl of wine and gulped it down. Mother asterisk her, say it. The little black snake cursed anxiously. Then, Daoya Old Man struck down with a wind blade, almost cutting off the feathers on Little Air's head. Zhou Xuanji saw through Daoya Old Man immediately and said unpleasantly, It's not that he doesn't want to say, but that's all he knows. Everyone rolled their eyes when they heard this. They then turned their gazes towards the blue-clothed youth. I'm not lying. You have to believe me. I can't even protect my life now. I don't want this world anymore. I just want to live. The blue-robed youth said seriously with a sincere look in his eyes. Chongming Demon Monarch glared at him and scolded. You speak as if this world belongs to you. The blue-clothed youth was very afraid of this fellow. He was so scared that his neck shrunk back, and he was extremely nervous. Zhou Xuanji said, We don't have time to send you back to Great Shun. But if you're willing to wait, we will be going to Great Shun in the future, and we can bring you along. He had promised Zhao Songjian that if he were to go to Great Shun, he could send the young man in blue back, but not now. They still had to conserve their energy and cultivate diligently. When he was stronger, he would travel the world. As for how strong, strong enough to fight Lin Guanyu head-on. If one person couldn't beat him, then a group of people wouldn't be a bad idea either. The blue-robed youth nodded vigorously and said excitedly, I'm willing to wait. My name is Chun Bantian. I'll follow you guys from now on. Get lost, but I want you to follow us. Stay in the forest by yourself. If you can survive until the day we leave, then you will be qualified to follow us. Zhou Xuanji waved his hand and snorted. There was no way he could take advantage of them. Chun Bantian's face instantly fell. He gritted his teeth and said, As long as you let me follow you, I will do whatever you want me to do. Zhou Xuanji was indifferent. He picked up a rabbit leg and started munching on it. The aroma of barbecued meat wafted into Chun Bantian's nose, causing him to salivate. Daoya Old Man sized him up with a strange smile on his face. His anus tightened, and his hair stood on end. I'll give you a mission. If you complete it, we'll take you in. Deoya old man said with a smile. The others couldn't help but feel curious. Chun Banshin's cultivation hadn't even reached the foundation establishment realm. He was a complete piece of trash, so what was the point of taking him in? Please speak. Chun Bantian replied with a nervous expression. I hope it won't be too difficult. Kill 10 rank 2 demonic beasts, no matter what method you use. Deoya old man said leisurely, causing Chun Banshin's expression to change drastically. Second rank demonic beast. To Zhou Xuanji and the others, this was nothing. But to Chun Bantian, it was undoubtedly a gamble with his life. Deoya old man no longer paid attention to him, and the others chatted among themselves as if Chun Bantian did not exist. Gritting his teeth, Chun Bantian turned and left. But no matter what, this was his only option. He could only take the risk. After he entered the forest, the others stopped talking. They tracked Chun Bantian with their mind. They wanted to see what this kid would do. In the end, they found this kid sleeping in the bushes. The group was speechless. Jiang Shui could not help but ask, is that really it? I feel that he won't live for long. This kid's cultivation was weak and cowardly, just like a girl. Let's wait and see. Zhou Xuanji replied softly with a calm expression. Looking at Chun Bantian, he felt angry and amused at the same time. Go down the mountain to sleep? Such a strange thought process. It made him want to help this kid out somehow. Don't underestimate him. He has great potential. Deoya old man said with a mysterious smile. Chongming demon monarch said with disdain. His potential in sleeping is indeed great. As a prince of Great Chun, you're being hunted by Haoqi Alliance. Do you think it's as simple as the Tianxia map? Deoya old man shook his head and smiled. As he spoke, he even touched his beard. Zhao Songjin asked. He did not say. Han Shinbo sighed. You're deliberately mystifying again. You keep us in suspense every time. So despicable. The others did not ask further, which made Deoya old man feel bored. They continued to drink and chat. Time passed quickly. Dusk came. The group returned to the underground cave. They planned to move out the next day. It was dark underground, which could not be compared to the surface. The next day, they moved to a relatively spacious grassland in the forest. In less than half a day, they had built 7 small pavilions. For the next period of time, they continued to cultivate. Day after day, occasionally, Chun Bantian would approach this place, but he was scared away by Chongming demon monarch. After that, this kid would hide nearby every night when he slept. It seemed that he would feel more secure when he was near Zhou Xuanji and the rest. During the day, he would try to find second-ranked demons. As time passed, the group got used to his presence. On a mountain peak, a group of men in black stood there. There were about 100 of them. A tall man stood at the front. He had a full beard and wore a conical hat. His eyes were like an eagle's, and there was a tiny scar at the corner of his brow. He looked at the horizon and said, Have you found the whereabouts of Yellow Dragon's descendant? One of the men in black said respectfully, It should be in the forest 1,000 miles ahead. The bearded man nodded and did not speak anymore. He seemed to be thinking about something. The men in black behind him did not move either. They waited quietly for orders. At this moment, an air-piercing sound came from the north. They looked back and saw a white-haired man flying toward them. He wore a green robe and had his hand behind his back. His face was indifferent, and he had the temperament of a powerful cultivator. Seeing him, the bearded man and the men in black all half knelt down and bowed to the white-haired man. Greetings, Division Leader Wang. They cried out in unison. Their tone was filled with awe. The white-haired man was a division leader of Haoqi Alliance, Wang Qixiao. His cultivation was extremely high. Wang Qixiao flew up to them and said, Have you caught Chun Bantian? Remember, he must be alive. Not yet, but soon. The bearded man replied, not daring to look up at Wang Qixiao. However, Chun Bantian might have already received help from powerful cultivators. The disciples we sent last time are all dead. Their jade medallions have dimmed. Speaking of this, he was still a little worried. If the other party dared to interfere in this matter, they must not be weak. I will go with you. No matter who it is, I will kill them. We must act quickly. Last time, Xian Xianghua attacked Chaoga Imperial City, causing chaos in Great Shang. This period of chaos is about to end. Once Great Shang discovers Chun Banshan's existence, the consequences will be unimaginable. The alliance between Haoqi Alliance and Great Shang might be broken because of this. Wang Qixao instructed in a low voice. His eyes were filled with worry. The Tianxia map had appeared. If Haoqi Alliance cannot grasp it, it will be snatched away by others. The situation of the world would change. Chapter 156. The scorching sun hung high in the sky. In the forest, Daoya, old man, sat cross-legged on the roof of a small pavilion. He suddenly opened his eyes and calculated with his fingers. His expression changed slightly. There's a murderous aura in the wind, and there's a baleful aura in the life diagram. This isn't an auspicious sign. Could it be an enemy attack? He muttered to himself, his expression becoming solemn. After a moment of hesitation, he came to Zhou Xuanji's side and said softly, "Danger is coming. Should we run or prepare to fight?" Zhou Xuanji opened his eyes and asked, "How are the enemies compared to Ling Guanyu?" The current him was not weak, so there was no need for him to run everywhere. He didn't believe that the streets were full of people who were as strong as Ling Guanyu or stronger. Of course, it can't be compared, but it won't be too weak either. However, I calculate that if we face it head-on, the disaster that follows will not be inferior to the threat of Ling Guanyu. Daoya, old man, said solemnly. Then he paused for a while and reminded them with a deeper meaning, "If we avoid it, we still have to leave Chun Bantian behind." Zhou Xuanji frowned and said, "You and I have already promised him that if he can kill 10 second-rank demons, we will take him away. What's the point of abandoning him now?" He hated people who went back on their word the most, especially when it concerned his life. When he was captured by Xian Xianghua, he was very worried that she would go back on her word. If he hadn't said those words to Qin Bantian, he might have left right away. If you want to leave, you can leave at any time. If you want to stay, then wait for the battle. As long as you think clearly and have no regrets in your heart, it's fine. Daoya, old man, nodded with a rare, serious expression. Zhou Xuanji's mouth twitched and said helplessly, "Can you not make it sound like love?" What did he mean by leaving as long as he had no regrets in his heart? Yo, you know about love at such a young age? Daoya, old man, laughed mockingly. Looking at Zhou Xuanji's handsome face, he felt a little absent-minded. It was as if he was looking at the young lady Zhao Xian. Of course I know. I started raising a wife for myself when I was 2 years old. Are you better than me? Zhou Xuanji said with disdain as he raised his brow. Jiang Shui, who was cultivating not far away, instantly blushed. The others all laughed loudly, and Huang Lianxin was laughing so hard that she was holding her stomach. She was the one who had followed Zhou Xuanji and Zhou Xuanji for the longest time and had watched them grow up. This sentence made her laugh too much. Ah, heavens! Why wasn't I this smart when I was young? Han Shinbo beat his chest and stamped his feet in frustration. Then tell me, what is your view on love? Daoya, old man, asked as he chuckled. Zhou Xuanji's pleased expression was exactly the same as when Lady Zhao Xian had introduced Emperor Yin of Zhou. I'm lucky to have it, but I can't lose it, Zhou Xuanji replied. Everyone was speechless. Jiang Shui, on the other hand, was filled with sweetness. She kept her head lowered. Daoya, old man, was startled. He shook his head and smiled. How domineering. After that, he warned everyone that danger was coming and told them to be prepared for battle at any time. 3 days later, Zhou Xuanji, who was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes, and the others stopped training or cultivating. What a powerful aura! The other party has definitely surpassed the nascent soul realm, probably a leaving aperture realm cultivator. Xiao Jinghong said. He immediately guessed that it was a powerful enemy from Haoqi Alliance. Saying so, he stood up, drew his sword, and flew into the air. Go and wake that kid up. The sun is shining on his butt, and he's still sleeping, Zhou Xuanji said with a deep voice. Next, Chongming Demon Monarch dashed into the bushes and picked up Chun Bantian as though he was carrying a chick. Seeing Chun Banshan's sleepy look, he he was enraged. This kid claimed that he wanted to live, but judging from his look, he was already used to such a life. Usually, he did not cultivate at all. Most of the time, he was sleeping, and the time he slept was getting longer and longer. Today, he slept all the way until noon. Why didn't he just fall asleep? The others were speechless too. This kid was really a weirdo. Deoya Old Man was in deep thought, and a tinge of surprise flashed in his eyes. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of something piercing through the air could be heard. A powerful aura emanated from them aggressively. Haoqi Alliance's Wang Qixiao is here. Wang Qixiao's voice resounded across the sky. Next, he came up to Xiao Jinghong with his men. He looked down and saw Chun Bantian soon. Joy flashed in his eyes as he said with a deep voice, "Hand him over, or I will kill all of you here. I finally found him. You want to kill us? Then you can stay." Zhou Xuanji said casually. Just when he finished speaking, Chongming Demon Monarch, Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and Han Shenhua charged toward Wang Qixiao. He smiled disdainfully and waved his right palm. A gust of wind whizzed out and turned into numerous wind blades that swept toward them. Chongming Demon Monarch roared. His body turned into a muscular, domineering body of 30 meters. He was a 7th-ranked demon, which was equivalent to astral projection. Together with Xiao Jinghong and the other two, it should not be difficult for them to defeat Wang Qixiao. The battle erupted. The men in black from Haoqi Alliance spread out. They wanted to attack from different directions to capture Chun Bantian. Chun Bantian was still in a daze and did not notice the enemy's appearance. Zhou Xuanji waved his right hand, and numerous legendary swords appeared. He charged toward the Haoqi Alliance cultivators who came from all directions. These useless soldiers and crab generals could not withstand his legendary swords. They were stabbed consecutively, and some even died on the spot. Deoya Old Man shook his head and sighed. Another feud. Great Zhou, Xinhao Sect, Haoqi Alliance, Lin Guanyu. TSK. There are even more troublemakers than Emperor Yin of Zhou back then. The student has surpassed the master. The little black snake stared at him and roared. Can you stop sighing? What are you waiting for? Deoya Old Man waved his sleeves and sent the snake flying before attacking the men in black around him. The battle did not last long. Soon, all of Wang Qixiao's subordinates were dead. He was at a complete disadvantage against Chongming Demon Monarch, Zhao Songjian, Xiao Jinghong, and Han Shenhua. He could not retaliate at all. Actually, even without Xiao Jinghong and the other two, Chongming Demon Monarch alone could defeat him. Wang Qixiao gritted his teeth and quickly turned into a stream of golden light and fled far away. You have offended Haoqi Alliance. You will suffer. As he fled, he cursed and threatened Zhou Xuanji and the others. Swoosh! Before he could finish his words, Hegemonjio flew over and blasted him to death. Ranged sword propelling, killing someone from 100 miles away. Hegemonjio was a glorious gold legendary sword. It was not something that Wang Qixiao could defend against. Zhou Xuanji waved his right hand, and Hegemonjio flew back to his hand. That is, Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and Beixiao Wangjian were stunned. Such a domineering giant sword. Could that be the Hegemon Sword Emperor's beloved sword? Zhou Xuanji stored his sword and said loudly, "Pick up the equipment, then pack up and head to Great Chun." Since they had already offended Haoqi Alliance, they should escape first. Haoqi Alliance was allied with Great Shang. Offending Haoqi Alliance was equivalent to offending Great Shang. Staying here would bring them endless trouble. The group had no objections and began to get busy. Zhou Xuanji walked up to Chun Bantian and kicked his butt. "Are you a pig?" He cursed. "How much longer are you going to sleep? I'm the royal bloodline of the Yellow Dragon. I'm the Emperor of Great Chun. I'm the ruler of the world." Chun Bantian rolled over and lay on the ground. He scratched his butt and mumbled. Chapter 157. 2 hours later, Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and the rest had packed up everything. They surrounded Chun Bantian with strange expressions. Chun Ban Tian was still sleeping soundly on the ground, and he was even snoring. What's going on? He doesn't seem right. Northern Sword Valiant frowned and asked. No matter how much he loved to sleep, it was impossible for him to be like this. Could it be that this kid ate some poisonous fruit? The little black snake came over and used its tail to slap his face. After 10 slaps, his face swelled up like a pig's head, but he still hadn't woken up. He was still dreaming about being the ruler of the world. Zhou Xuanji kicked the little black snake away and asked the old man, "Tell me, what happened to him?" The old man maintained his wretched smile. His expression seemed to be saying, "Hurry up and ask me, I know." Hearing this, Delia, old man, stroked his beard and shook his head, sighing, "This kid has the royal bloodline of the yellow dragon, very similar to your royal bloodline of the great Zhou. Every dynasty has a royal bloodline. It is a talent that can only be born from the direct bloodline of the founding emperor. The Great Qin dynasty has existed for a very long time. Their ancestor was the reincarnation of the ancient yellow dragon. This brat is currently transforming into a yellow dragon. Of course, this process is very dangerous. He only has a 10% chance of success. If he dies, we'll be in even more trouble. Now that Chun Bantian was dead, Haoqi Alliance would completely shift their target to them. The temptation of the Tianxia map was too great. Daoya old man had lived for a long time, so he knew this very well. Zhou Xuanji said, "Chong Ming, carry him. It's time for us to depart. If they die on the way, we will not go to Great Qin for now. We will find another place to cultivate." Everyone nodded and began to move forward. They did not forget to cultivate along the way, especially Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and Beishao Wangjian. Zhou Xuanji asked them to practice their sword techniques as they walked. Just like that, as the group moved forward, there was a person on the left, right, and the back of the group. The scene was quite artistic. Outside of Great Shang, the skies were clear. Analyze that the sword owner has reached 19 years old. Gotcha started. Ding. Congratulations, the sword owner has obtained Amethyst, Evil Song Sword, Silver Dog Culling Sword, Bronze 10,000 Firewood Sword. Zhou Xuanji, who was moving forward, heard the sword spirit's voice. The corner of his mouth curled up. Another Amethyst, Godly Sword. It seemed that as his cultivation grew, so did his luck. Unfortunately, the current purple crystal was no longer at the level of the godly sword that he desired. He was looking forward to the heavenly soul, intimidating spirit, and even higher divine swords. Ordinary or iron, bronze, silver, gold, amethyst, glorious gold, heavenly soul, intimidating spirit, celestial shaking, God slaying, Armageddon. Just thinking about it made him excited. At this moment, the information of the 3 divine swords appeared before his eyes. Sword name, Wicked Song Sword Grade. Amethyst description. The Wicked Song Sword contains the Wicked Song array. Once activated, the Wicked Song can disturb the enemy's chi and blood during battle. Sword name, Dog Culling Sword level, Silver. Description, killing a dog is as easy as plucking its fur. Sword name, 10,000 Firewood Sword level. Bronze description, chopping firewood with this sword is like having the help of God. Zhou Xuanji blinked. The Wicked Song Sword was still fine. It was an amethyst legendary sword after all. But were the Dog Culling Sword and the 10,000 Firewood Sword serious? He was a little speechless. He felt that the supreme legendary sword system would always produce some strange swords. Unknowingly, there seemed to be a force controlling his fate, which made him not know whether to laugh or cry. He took out the 3 swords and examined them. At the same time, Daoya old man stood on Chongming Demon Monarch's back and observed Chun Bantian. Chun Bantian was lying on his back and snoring loudly. His mouth was drooling, and his face looked hideous. "I am the ruler of the world. You lowly servants dare to meddle in politics. I am invincible in the world. You should all submit to me. Come, bring me the Tianxia map." He mumbled something indistinctly, and he was immersed in his dreams every day. Daoya old man rubbed his chin and muttered to himself, "Interesting. It seems like he might really awaken the royal bloodline of the yellow dragon. I wonder if this is a good or bad thing." He looked back at Zhou Xuanji instinctively. Zhou Xuanji was fiddling with the 3 new legendary swords and did not notice his gaze. The royal bloodlines clash with each other. But if one of the royal bloodlines submits, it can boost the fate of the other royal bloodline. He mumbled to himself and began divining with his fingers. He wanted to calculate Zhou Xuanji's fate in the future. PFFTT, he suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. The blood, along with his saliva, splattered on Chun Banshan's face and Chongming Demon Monarch's head. "Damn you! What are you doing?" Chongming Demon Monarch was furious. He stopped abruptly and shook Daoya Old Man and Chun Bantian down. He quickly transformed into his human form and wiped his head with a piece of cloth. His face was filled with anger and disgust, and he felt extremely disgusted. The others gathered around him. Daoya Old Man's cultivation was the highest among them. Why did he vomit blood suddenly? He got up from the ground and pointed at Zhou Xuanji with a trembling finger. "You are in trouble," he cried out in fear. "You are in big trouble." With this, everyone was shocked and felt a little horrified. It was their first time seeing Daoya Old Man so terrified. Even when facing Lin Guanyu, he could still look so calm. Zhou Xuanji was frustrated and asked, "What did I do this time?" Who would be happy when someone said that he was in big trouble for no reason? Moreover, the other party was his grand teacher. "I divined your fate just now. Your fate was messed up, which caused me to suffer a backlash. I've encountered such a situation twice." Daoya Old Man tried his best to calm himself down, but the fear and worry in his eyes lingered for a long time. Xiao Jinghong asked with a frown, "Who was it the last time?" "Dark North Monarch Tao," Daoya Old Man replied. He could not help but shudder when he said the name. Dark North Monarch Tao? What was that? The group was confused. Dark North Monarch Tao? You dared to divinate it. You are courting death. Chongming Demon Monarch cried out in shock as he wiped his head. His words made the group even more curious. Who was Dark North Monarch Tao? Zhou Xuanji was also curious. He sheathed his sword and walked toward Daoya Old Man Boom. At this moment, the plain shook violently as though an earthquake had struck. Everyone turned their heads and saw dust billowing on the eastern horizon. The ground had split open, as if something huge was attacking them from underground with great momentum. "Tank!" Zhou Xuanji cried out immediately. "Moo!" Chongming Demon Monarch roared. His body grew to a height of hundreds of meters. His horns towered into the sky, and his fur was like flames. He looked like an evil demon that charged out from hell and was extremely domineering. He punched toward the ground. Boom! The ground in front of him crumbled instantly. A horrifying force swept forward and clashed with the incoming mysterious being. Another earth-shaking explosion. A beam of black light shot out from underground like an arrow and penetrated Chongming Demon Monarch's chest. Blood splattered across the sky. Chapter 158. Seeing that Chongming Demon Monarch was severely injured, everyone's expression changed drastically. Zhou Xuanji cursed in his heart. This guy was still not tough enough. Chongming Demon Monarch descended. The black light that pierced through him turned into a ball of black gas and floated in the air. It was impossible to identify the enemy hidden within. Zhou Xuanji immediately threw out the Wicked Song sword and activated ranged sword propelling. The sword flew over Chongming Demon Monarch's head swiftly and toward the ball of black chi. The black gas was very fast and easily dodged the Wicked Song sword. There was a loud bang. Chongming Demon Monarch fell to the ground, causing dust to fly everywhere. Beixiao Wangjian and Huang Lianxin hurried over. They did not want Chongming Demon Monarch to die, just like that. "May I know who you are?" Daoya Old Man narrowed his eyes and asked. He did not expect Haoqi Alliance to act so quickly. Haoqi Alliance Right Envoy Feng Yuan. A cold voice resounded, and like a gust of cold wind, it caused the temperature of heaven and earth to plummet. "Feng Yuan." Daoya Old Man raised his eyebrows and said, "Haoqi Alliance directly sent out the right emissary. How generous. If you die here, will your Alliance Master die from anger?" As the black gas dissipated, Feng Yuan's figure appeared. He was dressed in a black brocade robe. His figure was emaciated, and he looked like a bag of bones. His eyes were sunken, and he had no eyebrows. There was also a scar on his forehead that extended into his hair. He stood in the air, looking down from above with an indifferent gaze. Daoya, old man, I was wondering who it was that dared to oppose my Haochi alliance. Feng Yuan said softly, his voice reverberating through the entire world. Chongming Demon Monarch covered his chest that was bleeding profusely. He gritted his teeth and said, Feng Yuan, we are in trouble now. The left and right envoys of Haochi Alliance were among the top experts of Haochi Alliance. The Haotian sect was so mighty in the past. Now, it has split into the Xinhao sect and the Haochi Alliance. Neither of them has the power to reach the top. Why should we be afraid? Daoya, old man, said with a smile, causing Feng Yuan's face to darken. This matter was the common shame of Xinhao sect and Haochi Alliance. After the split, they did not have the prestige of the Haotian sect in the past and became a laughingstock. Feng Yuan raised his right hand. Rumbling thunder clouds suddenly gathered, and thunder rumbled continuously. Bolts of lightning swept into his palm and condensed into a huge lightning sword. It was 100 feet long and shone brightly. An immense pressure wreaked havoc in the world, causing all living beings to feel suppressed. The wicked Song sword flew to Zhou Xuanji's head, and he took out the God Emperor sword and Phoenix Emperor sword, preparing for battle. Let me do it. How dare this kid look down on me? I'll show you the power of an earth deity. Daoya, old man, smiled proudly. Then he walked up, ascending to the heavens step by step. Everyone looked at him expectantly. Daoya, old man, was able to stop Lin Guanyu and had the undying divine ability. In their hearts, he had always been an unfathomable figure, including Zhou Xuanji. Feng Yuan swooped down with the lightning greatsword in his hand. It was like a bolt of lightning striking down, overbearing and domineering. Daoya, old man's speed suddenly increased, and he rose like a gust of wind. The two of them clashed in the air, and lightning scattered in all directions. Next, the two of them turned around and began to fight intensely in the air. They were incredibly fast, and even Zhou Xuanji could not keep up. Chongming Demon Monarch sat cross-legged on the ground to recuperate. Looking at the battle in the sky, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Fortunately, when Daoya, old man, bullied him, he did not retaliate. Otherwise, he would have been in a miserable state. At this moment, Chun Bantian, who was lying on the ground, convulsed suddenly. Yellow scales grew on his face, which looked extremely strange. No one noticed his condition, as they were all watching the battle. Feng Yuan's aura was powerful. The lightning greatsword in his hand was extremely powerful. As he swung it, lightning dissipated, and visible ripples could be seen in the space around him. Daoya, old man, moved swiftly in the air like a phantom. Their bodies intertwined and weaved in an intense manner. All sorts of spells were cast, which dazzled the onlookers. Kill! A loud shout could be heard. Black clouds flew over from the horizon in all directions, and on them stood many Haochi Alliance cultivators. At a glance, there were at least 100,000 of them. Their auras gathered together, causing the entire plain to tremble. Zhou Xuanji waved his right hand, and all of the legendary swords appeared above his head. Crimson Dragon Sword, Frost Wave Sword, Bloodbath Sword, Tiger Roar Sword, Wind Cutter Sword, Swine Culling Sword, Golden Rock Sword, Heaven Sound Sword, Hell King Sword, Residual Image Sword, Thunderclap Sword, Formless Sword, Furious Ape Sword, Chicken Slaying Sword, Water Driving Sword, Soaring Eagle Sword, Magnetic Sword, Ghost Curse Sword, Book Cutter Sword, Sky Sundering Emperor Sword, Tempest Calmer, Living Snake Sword, Crazy Paralysis Sword, Falling Petal, Soft Velvety Sword, Divine Crane. Sword, Phantom Sword, Hegemonjio, Big Dream Sword, Wicked Song Sword, Dog Culling Sword, and 10,000 Firewood Sword. The divine swords hummed, and it was a magnificent sight. Jiang Shui, Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, Beishao Wangjian, and the rest took out their weapons and prepared for battle. The little black snake laid on Little Fool's head and scolded, That brat is still sleeping, but we have to help him kill the enemy. What is this? I refuse to accept this. Everyone turned to look at Chun Bantian. The brat was lying on the ground, his body arched and twitching nonstop. His back was protruding, and it was extremely strange. What happened to him? Huang Lianxin frowned and asked nervously. The others were confused too, but Haochi Alliance's army was already here, so they could not care so much. Screech! The two dragon eagles let out a long cry. They flapped their wings and soared up. The little black snake was thrown down by Little Fool and landed pathetically on the ground. He raised his head and cursed a swoosh. A sharp arrow flew toward him, and the little black snake dodged instinctively. The arrow pierced into the ground, and the shaft shook. 100,000 evil cultivators charged toward them. The group leaped up and charged in. Chongming Demon Monarch came to Chun Banshin's side and picked him up. Zhou Xuanji activated the 10,000 Sword Dragon incantation. Dozens of legendary swords shot out like meteors. Strands of Ghost Emperor Qi surrounded his body and formed the silhouette of the God Emperor on his body. He leaped up and charged toward the direction with the most people. He swung the God Emperor sword with his right hand, and the sword Qi of the heavenly lights shot out. He's the Phoenix Sword Emperor. Could this be the legendary ultimate sword technique, Heavenly Lights? No, there's so many legendary swords. He sword God Zhou. Dodge quickly. The evil cultivators scattered in fear, but hundreds of them were struck by the heavenly lights and were sent flying backward while vomiting blood. The demonic cultivator at the very front was directly smashed into smithereens, his body exploding. Jiang Shui swung her flaming fan, and waves of flames swept toward the evil cultivators like walls of fire. Xiao Jinghong used the 36 paths Jade Xiao sword. His sword technique was ever-changing as he weaved among the evil cultivators. Zhao Songjian used the vibrant raindrop sword, which was equally powerful. Huang Lianxin stood beside Chongming Demon Monarch to protect Chun Bantian. Although Chongming Demon Monarch was severely injured, he was more than enough to deal with these weak soldiers. Han Shenbua fought alongside the little black snake. Of course, it was not his will. It was because the little black snake's tail was tightly wrapped around his arm. Can you let go of me? Han Shenbua cried out furiously as he fought. I'm helping you. The little black snake's attitude became even worse. Chapter 159. With the God Emperor's sword in his hand, Zhou Xuanji's aura was incredibly powerful. Before he reached Astral Infant, he could already use the God Emperor's sword to fight against the Sword Monarch of Great Zhou. Now, he could only be more powerful. He tossed out the Phoenix Emperor sword and grabbed Hegemongio with his left hand. The Hegemon 9 was a glorious gold divine sword that came from the Hegemon Sword Emperor, one of the 9 emperors of the Way of the Sword. It was recorded in the historical records as a divine weapon of the world. A layer of white light shone on the surface of Zhou Xuanji's body. It was attached to the monarch Ghost Qi, which made him look even more oppressive. With the 2 glorious gold legendary swords in hand, Zhou Xuanji felt that everything in the world was so insignificant. Such powerful strength, Zhou Xuanji thought in fascination. He looked at the God Emperor sword and Hegemongio, and a smile appeared on his face. Haochi Alliance's evil cultivators swarmed toward Zhou Xuanji from all directions. All kinds of spells were cast toward Zhou Xuanji. He raised Hegemongio and swept it around. All the spells exploded, and a strong gust of wind swept out, peerlessly domineering. Hundreds of demonic cultivators were sent flying. He raised his left hand and unleashed the sky-dominating divine sword. He slashed forward with his sword. The sword Qi was rampaging. It was hundreds of meters long, and its speed was extremely fast. 1,000 demonic cultivators couldn't dodge in time and were directly swept by the sword Qi, turning into ashes on the spot. The sword Qi continued to fly forward and disappeared into the horizon. All the demonic cultivators were frightened and retreated. Because of this, Jiang Shui, Xiao Jinghong, and the others stopped fighting and could rest for a while. Numerous legendary swords levitated behind Zhou Xuanji, together with the God Emperor on his body. The scene was incredibly majestic and shocking. The demonic cultivators were intimidated and did not dare to approach. He is Sword God Zhou, the one who injured the Sword Monarch of Great Zhou. It really is him. No wonder he dares to oppose our Haoqi alliance. So strong, almost invincible. It feels like even Envoy Fong is no match for him. What do we do now? The demonic cultivators tightly gripped their enchanted artifacts and spoke as they backed away from Zhou Xuanji. Fong Yuan, who was fighting against Doyo Old Man, noticed this scene. The sky-dominating divine sword from before made him tremble in fear. I didn't expect Sword God Zhou to follow you. No wonder you're so fearless, Fong Yuan said coldly. There was no trace of fear in his voice. Doyo Old Man's palms shone with silver light as he laughed. What? Are you scared? He was also shocked. All the divine swords were unleashed at the same time. That kind of power was too terrifying. This kid might really have the power to fight against the Sword Monarch of Great Zhou, and he might even be able to defeat the Sword Monarch. Fong Yuan did not answer and continued to fight with Doyo Old Man. Zhou Xuanji did not stop. His eyes focused, and all the divine swords behind him shot out like a group of meteors, sharp and powerful. Xiao! Xiao! Swoosh! The sound of something tearing through the air could be heard continuously. The demonic cultivators were scared out of their wits and tried to dodge in panic. Unfortunately, the speed of the divine sword was even faster. The demonic cultivators screamed as their bodies were pierced by the divine swords, or their heads exploded. Blood rained down like a rain of blood. Incredible! Choming, demon monarch, widened his eyes, swallowed his saliva, and muttered to himself. It was the first time he had seen Zhou Xuanji use so many legendary swords. It was too domineering. If he were to go all out like this during the World Hero Conference, the duration of the conference would probably be reduced by half. No wonder he could pass the Hegemon Sword Emperor's inheritance test. The others were extremely excited as they watched. They had watched Zhou Xuanji grow more powerful step by step until today. Amazing, as expected of my master, the little black snake said excitedly. Han Shimbo wanted to pull it down, but he could not. Instead, his right arm was in pain. After Zhou Xuanji killed thousands of demonic cultivators, he turned to look at Fong Yuan, who was high up in the sky. Sensing his gaze, Fong Yuan's heart shuddered. This murderous aura, without a word, he transformed into a ball of black qi and flew toward the horizon. Zhou Xuanji threw out the God Emperor's sword, which flashed across the plain like a stream of black light. Ranged sword propelling. But this time, his ranged sword propelling only brushed past Fong Yuan's shoulder. Fong Yuan's reaction was much faster than Wang Qixiao's. He quickly disappeared at the intersection of the heavens and the earth. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. The other demonic cultivators from Haoqi Alliance also fled with all their might. They wished that their parents could give them another Dantian. Zhou Xuanji stored his sword, and the God Emperor dispersed. Not bad, not bad. Very powerful. Soon, you'll catch up to Emperor Yin of Zhou. Doyo Old Man flew to his side and patted his shoulder with a satisfied smile. Zhou Xuanji looked calm and said, "Go and see what's wrong with that guy." Qin Banshan's convulsions became more intense. He even let out beast-like growls. Apparently, he was in great pain. The two landed quickly. Xiao Jinghong, Beixiao Wangjian, Han Shunbua, and Zhao Songjian began to clean up the battlefield and loot the enemy's treasures. Doyo Old Man squatted beside Qin Bantian and said with a frown, "He has entered the most crucial stage of awakening. If he can survive it, he will soar into the sky." The little black snake spat his forked tongue and smiled. "It feels like when I transformed into a dragon." "You're a dragon? Why do you look like an earthworm?" Chongming Demon Monarch asked curiously. His words were like a sharp sword that pierced the little black snake's heart. This bastard knew its identity, so he purposely stabbed it, piercing its heart. He has the royal bloodline of Great Chun, and I have the royal bloodline of Great Zhou. Can I awaken? Zhou Xuanji asked expectantly. Wasn't Great Zhou very prestigious? Daoya old man rolled his eyes at him and said, Your bloodline leans toward your mother. It's hopeless. But that Zhou Yalong can awaken the bloodline talent of Great Zhou's ancestor. Zhou Yalong. Zhou Xuanji's expression turned cold immediately. Huang Lianxin's eyes were filled with hatred. After half an hour, Xiao Jinghong and the other three returned. They had collected more than 10,000 storage rings and bags. Adding up the wealth in them, they would surely take revenge. Sister, you and Lianxin will be in charge of counting. Zhou Xuanji arranged. Women love to do such things. The two girls had no objections and nodded with a smile. He walked to Chongming Demon Monarch and took out some elixirs. Heal your wounds. You are so useless. How can you be a tank like this? In the future, you will spar with me. I will help you strengthen your physique. Chongming Demon Monarch felt wronged. It was not that he was not powerful enough, but he did not know that his opponent was Feng Yuan. After that, Chongming Demon Monarch carried Chun Bantian on his back, and the group continued their journey. 3 days later, a shocking news spread across Great Shang and the surrounding kingdoms. Haoqi Alliance put out a wanted order for Sword God Zhou and claimed that Sword God Zhou was the Phoenix Sword Emperor. As soon as the news came out, it shocked everyone. The Phoenix Sword Emperor was a sword cultivator who appeared out of nowhere in Great Shang recently. He was even recognized to be on par with Great Zhou's Sword Monarch. He was also targeted by the top evil cultivator. His reputation even surpassed Sword God Zhou. No one expected Sword God Zhou to be the Phoenix Sword Emperor. The news spread to Xinhao sect and Great Zhou quickly, which caused an even greater uproar. Countless people cried out in shock. How powerful was Sword God Zhou now? Even Haoqi Alliance's right emissary could not defeat him. The world was guessing how long Sword God Zhou could live after offending so many factions. Chapter 160. 1 month later, Zhou Xuanji and the others left Great Shang and entered Juemal Wasteland again. The little black snake laid on Small Fool's head and said lazily, Will we meet Lin Guanyu again? Little Fool shook his head, wanted to shake it off, but to no avail. Northern Sword Valiant smiled proudly. Master is so strong now. I think you can even fight against Lin Guanyu, a frog at the bottom of a well. Baba Blade Master's name isn't just for show. Daoya Old Man shook his head and laughed. After all, that was the man who defeated him. Chongming Demon Monarch said disdainfully, Baba Blade Master is just a boast. You guys didn't see how pathetic he was in front of Xian Xianghua. He looked like he was about to pee his pants. He began to boast endlessly, causing Zhou Xuanji to roll his eyes. The unbearable one wasn't Lin Guanyu, but the old ox demon. In front of Xian Xianghua, he had never straightened his back. Don't panic. When I become the emperor of Great Chun, Lin Guanyu will be nothing to me. Chun Bantian walked to the back of the crowd and smiled proudly. This brat was like a completely different person compared to before. He was full of vigor, and there was a yellow dragon imprint between his brows. It was extremely mystical. After awakening the royal bloodline of the yellow dragon, his physical body had grown even taller, and his cultivation had shot up to the 3rd level of the enlightening realm, which made others envious. Forget it. With your current appearance, even if you become the emperor, no one will respect you. Chongming Demon Monarch said in disdain. Chun Bantian was furious but did not dare to say anything. Ever since he had awakened, Chongming Demon Monarch continued to bully him. In fact, he was even more ruthless than before. Although he was indignant, he did not bear a grudge. After all, these people were his saviors, and he had to keep their kindness in his heart. At the center of the group, Zhou Xuanji was telling stories to Jiang Shui and Huang Lianxin. In this way, Snow White and the 7 dwarves lived a happy life. Hearing this, Jiang Shui and Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief. Jiang Shui waved her fist and gritted her teeth. The crown prince is too hateful. He actually colluded with the empress. Fortunately, he was defeated by the 7 dwarfs. Huang Lianxin nodded and sighed. You're right. The more handsome and noble a man is, the worse he is. Zhao Songjian shook his head. He felt that this story was ridiculous. How could there be an empress in the northern wilderness region who was jealous of the princess beauty? Xiao Jinghong flew back on his sword and landed in front of Zhou Xuanji. Revered teacher, there are no traces of Xinhao sect's evil cultivators in Juemal Wasteland. I asked around, and Baba Blade Master did not come to Juemal Wasteland during this period of time. Zhou Xuanji nodded and began thinking while rubbing his chin. Now that Great Zhou, Xinhao sect, and Haoqi alliance were all after him, there would definitely be a lot of trouble in the future. After sending Chun Bantian to Great Chun, he still had to avenge Zhao Songyan. According to Daoya Old Man, Chun Bantian had awakened the royal bloodline of the Yellow Dragon. As long as the Emperor of Great Qin knew about it, he would definitely become the heir apparent. If one of the princes of the Yellow Dragon royal bloodline appeared, Great Chun would be able to usher in a golden age. According to their current speed, it would take another 3 months to reach Great Chun. Another 2 hours passed. Suddenly, a group of monks came from the west. They were led by an old monk wearing an exquisite kasaya and holding a golden staff in his hand. Daoya Old Man's eyes lit up, and he immediately rushed over. Zhou Xuanji and the others were shocked. What was going on? Daoya Old Man came up to the old monk and laughed. Old Baldy, long time no see. Seeing him, the old monk smiled and stroked his long beard. Ba. Old thief, long time no see. It must have been 20 years. He glanced at Zhou Xuanji and the others and chuckled. The recently famous sword god Zhou is here too. Why don't you introduce me to him? Daoya Old Man smiled proudly and waved at Zhou Xuanji and the others. A commotion broke out among the other monks. With regards to the recently famous sword god Zhou, no matter where they went, as long as there were people, they would hear about him. Soon, Zhou Xuanji and the others walked over. This is Danyuan Monastery's Abbot Xuana. Daoya Old Man introduced Zhou Xuanji with a chuckle, and the old monk nodded with a smile. Danyuan Monastery. Xiao Jinghong, Han Shinbua, and the others' expressions changed drastically. This was a sanctum. Sword God Zhou, also my grand disciple, Zhou Xuanji. Daoya Old Man hooked his arm around Zhou Xuanji's shoulder and said proudly. Xuana squinted his eyes and asked, "Is he Zhao Xian's son? He looks so much like her. No wonder Emperor Yan of Zhou only put you on the wanted list after you killed the Empress of Great Zhou, but he did not do it himself." Zhou Xuanji frowned slightly. He did not like to hear people mention Emperor Yan of Zhou. The two old men began chatting. It turned out that they were good friends since they were young. They had been good friends for thousands of years. One became a land immortal, while the other became a highly respected abbot of a sanctum. This was a much-told story in the northern wilderness region. Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and the others were pleasantly surprised. They did not expect Daoya Old Man to have such a deep network. It was a pity that the two old men did not mention anything about Zhou Xuanji being hunted down. I will bring my disciples to Duantian Cliff to annihilate the remnants of Tanhua sect together with the other sections. Do you want to go together? If you participate, you can build a closer relationship with the righteous sections. In the future, it will be much easier to deal with Xinhao sect and Haoqi alliance. Xuana looked at Zhou Xuanji and smiled as he stroked his long beard. As a sanctum, Danyuan Monastery could not participate in worldly conflicts. This time, it was related to Tanhua sect, so he came out. Remnants of Tanhua sect? Xianxianghua is here too? Zhou Xuanji asked curiously. This old demonic woman had such a day? Xuana nodded with a smile. Yes, she is here. This demonic woman just massacres city. She obtained the soul nurturing pearl from somewhere and wants to awaken her father, the ancient Diablo. Once she succeeds, the world will be in trouble. Ancient Diablo. This name was not simple at first glance. Zhou Xuanji and the others had a subtle expression. Zhou Xuanji obtained the soul nurturing pearl with help. If this were to spread, they would be sinners. Xianxianghua is the top evil cultivator. Aren't you courting death if you go? Chongming Demon Monarch mumbled. He had heard of Xuana's fame, but did not know much about it. Daoya Old Man stared at him and cursed. This little brother of mine is the top monk in the northern wilderness region. Back then, the Fury Buddha sought him out for guidance. Do you think he could defeat Xian Xianghua? 1,000 years ago, if he did not injure Xian Xianghua severely, she would not have stayed quiet for so long. The top monk in the northern wilderness region. This title was very intimidating. Umapa, it's just an empty title. Xuana shook his head and smiled. But why did his smile resemble Daoya Old Man's? So annoying. We will not get involved in this mess. We still have to go to Great Shan. You guys go ahead. Daoya Old Man chuckled. The soul-nurturing pearl was made by Zhou Xuanji. If they went to Duantian Cliff, Xian Xianghua would surely take it out. By then, they would have nowhere to hide. Xuana nodded and did not insist. The group chatted for a while before they left. Zhou Xuanji glanced at the back of Xuanhe and asked curiously, "Can he really defeat Xian Xianghua?" In his heart, Xian Xianghua was already invincible and arrogant. Xuanhe looked amiable and approachable. He was not even comparable to the Fury Buddha. He might not be more powerful than Xian Xianghua, but at least he can put up a fight. Moreover, other than him, there are other powerful cultivators. Tanhua sect is going to fall this time. Daoya Old Man smiled and sighed. Chapter 161. There were 8 sacred grounds in the northern wilderness region that were independent of the righteous and demonic sections. Danyuan Temple and Merciful Melody Cliff were among them. Hanshinbua was also a disciple of a holy land called the Red Shore Valley. If a new dynasty wanted to be established, it had to be approved by the 8 great sacred grounds. Your little brother is the top monk in the northern wilderness region. What happened to you? Why are you so weak? He can fight Xian Xianghua head-on, but you can't even defeat Ling Guanyu? Zhou Xuanji said with disdain, which pulled Daoya Old Man back to reality. He glared at his grand disciple and scolded. "I'm weak? If I was weak, would you still be alive? You're heartless, just like your mother, and ingrate." He began to curse endlessly, his spittle flying straight at Zhou Xuanji's face. When Jiang Shui saw this, she hurriedly pulled Xianji back. The others couldn't help but laugh out loud. Among the group, only Daoya Old Man dared to argue with Zhou Xuanji like this, which made others not know whether to laugh or cry. Everyone continued moving forward. The Tanhua sect is so powerful that even the number 1 monk in the northern wilderness region is involved? Zhao Songjian asked curiously. He felt that he had come into contact with a whole new world. Daoya Old Man walked in front and shook his head with a smile. Back then, the Tanhua sect swept across the northern wilderness region, and the ancient Diablo was invincible. All the empires had to lower their heads to him. So awesome? Zhou Xuanji raised his brow. He did not sympathize with Xian Xianghua. It would be best if that old hag died at the Heaven's End Cliff. Xian Xianghua's existence was a stain on his life. He had never been so cowardly. The current Tanhua sect is far from what it used to be. Apart from Xian Xianghua, the rest are all detested by everyone. Daoya Old Man chuckled, his tone filled with emotions. This was the human world, the wheel of fortune, the ups and downs. This was the secular world. Stop sighing. Don't tell me you still want to save that old witch. Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes and said unpleasantly, although Xian Xianghua was charming, beautiful, and powerful, her mother was mentally ill. Even if this woman didn't die, she would be alone for the rest of her life. Who would dare to marry her? Who would marry her? Zhou Xuanji's imagination ran wild as he walked ahead. Next, they continued to advance. Along the way, they encountered many cultivators and demons. Those who recognized them either died tragically or fled. As long as they dared to attack, Zhou Xuanji and the others would not let them live. Other than that, they also heard that many cultivators were heading towards the Heaven's End Cliff. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Zhou Xuanji cultivated along the way and reached Astral Infant Level 2. Ever since he broke through to the nascent soul realm, his cultivation speed had slowed down greatly. In fact, the growth of his spiritual power was even faster but the higher his realm, the more spiritual energy he needed. On this day, they came to Great Qin's border and looked at the city walls from afar. "Where is the Tianxia map?" Northern Sword Valiant asked fiercely as he stared at Chun Bantian. Chun Bantian shouted, "Don't panic. Wait for me to take it out." After saying that, he pulled open his clothes, took out a dagger, and slashed his chest. Blood splattered. This brat did not even frown. Ever since he had awakened, he had changed his cowardly nature. His potential was limitless. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he took out a roll of parchment from his chest. Jiang Shui and Huang Lianxin were disgusted. The others looked interested. This kid was very interesting. He actually hid the map under his skin. "This is the map recorded in the Tianxia map. This is what Haoqi Alliance wants." Chun Bantian's face was distorted as he passed the map, which was covered in blood, to Northern Sword Valiant. Northern Sword Valiant's face turned green immediately. Chun Bantian quickly healed his wounds. As he did so, he said, "Everyone, do you want to return to Great Qin with me? Although you guys always bully me, I feel that your atmosphere is real and interesting. If I ascend the throne in the future, I will make all of you officials and nobles. Whatever you want, I will give it to you." His words were very sincere. Ever since he was young, he had been staying in the royal palace. This journey made him fearful and joyful at the same time. Zhou Xuanji's story, the little black snake's annoying behavior, Daoya, old man's frivolity, and so on. Everyone had their own unique characteristics, which was really interesting. "You must be bluffing. With your behavior, can you become the emperor without us? You will definitely be killed by those generals." Chongming Demon Monarch said with disdain. His words did not enrage Chun Bantian, but warmed his heart. Zhou Xuanji looked at Chun Bantian and said, "How about we make a bet?" "What bet?" Chun Bantian asked curiously. He had always respected Zhou Xuanji. "Let's see if I become the top cultivator first, or if you become the emperor of Great Qin first. If you win, I will give you a big gift. If you lose, you will give me one. How about it?" Zhou Xuanji asked with squinted eyes. In the past half a year, this brat had been serving them tea and running errands for them. Seeing that he was often bullied, the group had a lot of fun. If he were to leave, it would be really worrying. This brat's temperament was not up to par. If he wanted to become the emperor of Great Qin, he could not rely solely on his bloodline talent. "Okay, if I become the emperor, I will make you the sword emperor, and the people will learn from you." Chun Bantian grinned and said excitedly. Did Zhou Xuanji acknowledge him? After that, he bade farewell to everyone and ran toward the border of Great Qin. "Let's find a place to rest and study the map before we decide." Zhou Xuanji looked around and muttered. The group had no objections and left. An hour later, they found a cave and went inside to rest. The sky darkened. Zhou Xuanji sat on a rock with a map in his hand. Jiang Shui sat beside him, tilting her head and looking at it curiously. "I didn't expect Tianxia map to be hidden in Juedi Cliff. That's not a good place." Daoya, old man, frowned and muttered to himself. "That's right. The place marked on the map was Juedi Cliff." Zhou Xuanji had already been to Juedi Cliff, and he did not expect to go there again. Chongming Demon Monarch said anxiously, "Let's not go. Xian Xianghua protected us last time, but there's no one now." Juedi Cliff was so terrifying that even the Hegemon Sword Sect, which was one of the top factions in the Northern Wilderness region, dared to enter. Moreover, according to his understanding, the inheritance of the Hegemon Sword Emperor was not in the depths of Juedi Cliff. "I'm not human. Can't I protect you?" Daoya Old Man was enraged. He gave Chongming Demon Monarch a kick, sending him crashing into the wall. The entire mountain shook, and dust and sand fell. Zhou Xuanji cursed. "Are you going to kick down the mountain and crush us to death?" "What's wrong?" "I do." Daoya Old Man crossed his arms and snorted in disdain. This old man was getting more and more active. He was even more mischievous than the little black snake. The group really wanted to beat him up. At this moment, footsteps came from the cave entrance. Xiao Jinghong and Zhao Tsongjian immediately held their swords and walked to the front, preparing for battle. Daoya Old Man frowned slightly and scanned with his mind. In an instant, he jumped up in fear. "Oh no!" he cried out softly, which made the others anxious. Chapter 162. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, a man in purple with wounds all over his body rushed in. When he saw Zhou Xuanji and the others, he immediately stopped. Although his hair was messy, there was no fear on his face. His eyes were filled with killing intent. "Tanhua Sect's thousand-hand devil, Qin Gang," Daoya Old Man said in a deep voice, his face full of wariness. When the others heard that he was from the Tanhua Sect, they became even more nervous. Chongming Demon Monarch mumbled, "The Tanhua Thousand-Hand Devil, the Butcher of the Northern Wilderness, Han Shinbua, Xiao, Jinghong, and the Little Black Snake were also moved." The others might not have heard of Qin Gang's name, but he was from the Tanhua Sect and was definitely not an ordinary person. Daoya Old Man. When Qin Gang saw Daoya Old Man, a murderous glint appeared in his eyes. He suddenly thought of something and glanced at the others. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Who is Sword God Zhou?" "Find Sword God Zhou." Xiao Jinghong and Zhao Songjian narrowed their eyes and took a step forward. "I am," Zhou Xuanji said. His opponent was heavily injured, so he was not afraid. Hearing this, Qin Gang suddenly knelt down and said in a deep voice, "Vice Sect Leader." Everyone's expression changed drastically, and they were all stunned. "Vice Sect Leader?" Zhou Xuanji frowned and asked, "What do you mean?" He instantly thought of something, and his expression became extremely ugly. "The suzerain has ordered me to look for the vice suzerain, Sword God Zhou, since our sect is in danger of being destroyed." Qin Gang replied respectfully, "What a vicious plan. He's trying to drag my grand disciple down with him." Daoya Old Man cursed. He was a smart person and instantly understood Xian Xianghua's intention. In the past few years, Sword God Zhou's reputation had grown tremendously. Once there was news that he was the vice suzerain of Tanhua Sect, everyone would point their fingers at him. At that time, he would become the public enemy of the world. Our Xuanji will never become a vice sect leader," Jiang Shui snorted. For some reason, she felt an inexplicable sense of danger. Qin Gang raised his head and said, "My sect leader did not mean that. She asked me to bring you to the old site of the Tanhua Sect to obtain the ultimate divine technique and bring glory to the Tanhua Sect. And she is trapped at the Heaven's End cliff with only a slim chance of survival." At this point, he gritted his teeth and his eyes burned with hatred. Everyone was stunned. Chongming Demon Monarch widened his eyes and cursed. There must be a scheme. Everyone else was on guard. Peerless divine art? Is it the celestial devil rebirth technique? Daoya Old Man asked curiously, his tone filled with excitement. Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes at him and said to Qin Gang, "You can leave. I'm only interested in the sword. I'm not interested in the ultimate energy techniques of your evil sect, and I don't like the Tanhua Sect either." He felt that Xian Xianghua would not do such a thing. Therefore, he did not want to go to the old site of the Tanhua Sect. Moreover, he was about to search for the Tianxia map. The Tanhua Sect was more powerful than the Tianxia map. Qin Gang panicked and hurriedly shouted, "The life and death of our Tanhua Sect are all in your hands. Then go to hell," Zhou Xuanji said without holding back. He flipped his right hand and took out the God Emperor's sword. The Tanhua Sect was cruel and ruthless, even more so than the Xinhao Sect. He had seen with his own eyes how Xian Xianghua killed people on a whim. She had the heart of an animal. If such a sect was destroyed, so be it. Just when Qin Gang wanted to continue speaking, Zhou Xuanji walked over with his sword, which frightened him so much that he immediately ran away. If he wasn't severely injured, he might not be afraid. But now, he was definitely not a match for Zhou Xuanji. After Qin Gang left, the group heaved a sigh of relief. What is Xian Xianghua trying to do? Could it be that she really wants to hand the Tanhua Sect over to our master? Even if it's true, she can't accept it. The Tanhua Sect is an existence that the world cannot tolerate. Once she accepts it, even the gods cannot protect her. Do you think that Xian Xianghua will die just like that? It's hard to say. Isn't there a saying, A scourge lives for 1,000 years? The group began chatting, while Zhou Xuanji stored the God Emperor's sword and sat on the ground in deep thought. He was worried that Xian Xianghua would tell the world that he was the vice suzerain. Even if there was no evidence, it would still arouse suspicion. Moreover, Great Zhou, Xinhao sect, and Haoqi alliance were still keeping an eye on him. Jiang Shui sat beside him and held his hand. She did not say a word and just accompanied him quietly. Seems like we need to leave as soon as possible. It's best if we can find a place to continue our cultivation. This is just the beginning. Daoya old man walked up to Zhou Xuanji and sighed. He sighed in his heart. Everyone said that beauties were the source of trouble, and even heroes would attract trouble sometimes. Xian Xianghua had met so many people, and there must be people who were more powerful than Zhou Xuanji. Why did she keep an eye on him? She even instructed him in private. This must not be simple. Let's go to Great Qin first. Tomorrow, we will find a place to hide. I will bring Zhao Songjian into Great Qin. Zhou Xuanji muttered. Daoya, old man nodded. He was confident that he could deal with Qin Gang. 3 days later, Zhou Xuanji and the others came to a hidden valley. Daoya, old man, stood on a mountain wall. He was planting flags and preparing to set up a spell formation to conceal the valley. You must come back as soon as possible. Understand? Jiang Shui tidied Zhou Xuanji's clothes as she instructed him. Zhou Xuanji smiled. Don't worry. Great Qin will not put me on the wanted list. Jiang Shui nodded. Looking at Zhou Xuanji, who was already half a head taller than her, her eyes were filled with affection. A while later, Zhou Xuanji left with Zhao Songjian. The two of them traveled quickly through the forest. Only after they left the forest did they fly toward Great Qin. Are you still in love with her? Zhou Xuanji asked with a teasing expression. It turned out that when Zhao Songjian was young, he lived with his mother in Great Qin. Back then, he had a childhood friend, and the two of them stayed together for 8 years. Back then, he was already a famous genius in Great Qin. Because of his family, he had to return to Great Zhou. From then on, he appeared out of nowhere and reached Inner Pellet at 18 years old. He and his childhood friend often exchanged letters, but somehow they broke off. After that, his parents returned to Great Qin to visit their family. He asked his mother to find out about this, but his entire family died in Great Qin's territory. After this, his entire personality changed. A cultivator from his family escaped and found him. He said that although he did not know who the enemy was, the enemy claimed that he hated him and wanted him dead. The enemy warned him not to enter Great Qin again, or else he would be destroyed. Zhao Songjian thought about it and felt that this could only be related to the person he cared about. After all, he had no friends or enemies in Great Qin. My heart is as calm as still water. I only want to know who the murderer is. Zhao Songjian shook his head and said calmly. The two of them leaped over mountains and disappeared into the horizon. At this moment, a man in black appeared on the peak of a mountain. He took out a scroll and spread it open, letting it float in the air. He then drew on the scroll with his finger. Red words appeared on it. Sword God Zhou entered Great Qin without Daoya old man. After he finished writing, he kept the scroll and injected his spirit energy into it. The scroll turned into sparkles of light and dissipated in the air. He turned to look at the direction where Zhou Xuanji and Jiang Shui disappeared and mumbled, Sword God Zhou, Great Qin will be your downfall. Chapter 163. Zhou Xuanji and Zhao Songjian entered Great Qin with their real names. Great Qin's border customs entrance fee was slightly lower than Great Zhou's. The two of them flew into Great Qin's territory without any obstructions. The city they were heading to was near the imperial city of Great Qin, and it was called River Willow City. River Willow City had a population of several million and occupied a vast area. It was surrounded by mountains on all sides, and the river flowed through the center of the city. Countless creeks and streams were like the branches of trees running through the entire city. The weather here was like spring all year round, and it was one of the more famous cities in Great Qin, as well as a trading center. Zhou Xuanji and Zhou Xuanji spent 4 days before arriving at full speed. Standing on the hill and looking at the majestic city in front of him, Zhao Songjian was in a daze. After all, he had grown up here. No matter what the truth is, no matter what you want to do, don't hold back. I will support you, Zhou Xuanji said as he looked at River Willow City. Zhao Songjian nodded and took a deep breath. Thank you, master. Let's enter the city. He had to get to the bottom of this blood feud. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to focus on it. The two quickly entered the city. After entering the city, Zhao Songjian went to investigate alone, while Zhou Xuanji wandered around. He was prepared to buy some gifts for Jiang Shui, as well as wine, food, silk, and cloth. They spent most of their time in the wilderness and rarely entered the city. Once they entered the city, they would buy a lot of things. Right now, he was very rich, equivalent to the annual income of half a dynasty. The previous wave of Haochi Alliance's army had multiplied his wealth many times over. River Willow City was bustling. The streets were crisscrossed, and willows could be seen everywhere. By the river, at the corner of the walls, Zhou Xuanji somehow thought of the along the river during the Qingming festival painting. He became happy and wandered around. Young master, come in and play. That's right, that's right. Young master, the girls in our brothel are very beautiful. Come on, handsome young man. Have you ever tasted a woman? When he passed by a brothel, the common women at the entrance began to greet Zhou Xuanji passionately. Zhou Xuanji was a bit tempted, but he turned and left in the end. He had to keep himself clean. Meanwhile, Zhao Songjian arrived in front of an abandoned mansion. Looking at the slanted signboard, he frowned slightly. Just as he was about to step in, an old man wearing shabby clothes walked out. The old man had a stooped figure, a head full of white hair, and a face full of vicissitudes of life. Masterly, Zhao Songjian said. Hearing this, the old man froze and subconsciously raised his head. As soon as he saw Zhao Songjian, his expression changed drastically. He quickly walked in front of Zhao Songjian, grabbed his arms, and asked nervously, Young master, why are you back? Didn't I tell you not to come back? Zhao Songjian said expressionlessly, I came back to investigate what happened back then, and to take revenge. Masterly hurriedly pulled Zhao Songjian into the mansion and closed the door. After entering the mansion, the two of them quickly entered the courtyard. Chiefly sighed and said, Don't take revenge. You won't be able to. The person who destroyed our clan was the crown prince of Great Shun. Zhao Songjian was not surprised. After all, his mother's family was not an ordinary family. His entire family was annihilated, but it did not cause any disturbance. The culprit must be a high-ranking official. Why is he targeting me? Is it because of Ming Er? Zhao Songjian asked. His gaze was terrifyingly calm. He followed Zhou Xuanji and even killed the Empress of Great Zhou. Naturally, he did not take the crown prince seriously. Masterly sighed and said, It's Miss Ming Er. She has already become the crown prince's concubine. If she didn't insist on protecting me and this residence, perhaps you wouldn't be able to see me. Zhao Songjian frowned. His heart ached. It's not that Miss Ming Er is willing to marry him. It's because he is the current crown prince. With one sentence, he can marry anyone he wants. Uncle Lee explained. He felt sorry for this couple who were in love with each other. The affairs of the world are unpredictable, and there are many things that people can't control. I understand. I don't blame her, but I must take revenge. Zhao Songjian nodded calmly and turned to leave. Young master, just as Uncle Lee was about to persuade him, Zhao Songjian disappeared with the 8-step sword steps. Next, Zhao Songjian did not go straight to the crown prince's residence, but to look for Zhou Xuanji. He was not a fool. If he wanted to kill the crown prince of the Great Shun, he alone would not be enough. He must ask Zhou Xuanji for help. However, River Willow City was so big, and it would take some time to find Zhou Xuanji. In a courtyard, a young man in a golden shirt was practicing his sword art. 6 ladies were chatting happily in the stone pavilion beside him. 3 of them were maidservants, and they were fanning their masters. At this moment, a soldier appeared out of nowhere. "Your Highness, I have a key to report." The soldier cupped his fist and said. He glanced at the stone pavilion beside him instinctively and quickly looked away. The young man in a golden shirt sheathed his sword and asked, "What's the matter?" The soldier was silent and did not reply. "Follow me," the young man in a golden shirt said. After that, he left with the soldier. Why did His Highness leave? In the stone pavilion, a pretty lady with an oval face curled her lips and asked. The quiet lady who sat in the middle frowned slightly and said, "It might be a military intelligence." Recently, the demons have been stirring up trouble in Great Chun. As the crown prince, he naturally has to worry about it. On the other side, the crown prince came to the side palace with his soldiers. He sat on the main seat and asked, "What's the matter?" "Someone is approaching the Liu clan's residence. It's the young master of the Zhao clan." The soldier replied respectfully, "Our men captured that old man and asked him. We learned that the young master of the Zhao clan is here to take revenge." "The young master of the Zhao clan," the crown prince sneered and said. "He wants to take revenge on me? Interesting. I want to kill him. Let him come. If you find him in the city, don't stop him. I want him to see the woman he loves in my arms and then die with regret." As the crown prince, he would not allow his woman to have other men in her heart. "Yes," the soldier replied and was about to leave. "Where's the old man?" The crown prince seemed to have thought of something and asked. "He's dead," the soldier answered honestly. The crown prince nodded in satisfaction and continued to leave. After he left, the crown prince of the Great Chun slammed his palm on the table, shattering it into pieces. "It's that brat again. This time, I'll make Ming-Er give up completely," the crown prince said with his teeth clenched and a cruel smile appeared on his face. "Your Highness, bad news." At this moment, an old servant ran in with a face full of fear. The crown prince said impatiently, "What's the matter? Why are you making such a fuss?" The old servant knelt in front of him and said, "His Highness has returned. He has even awakened the royal bloodline of a yellow dragon. His Majesty is very pleased and made him the heir apparent. He asked the imperial preceptor to teach him documents and the state general to teach him cultivation." Hearing this, the crown prince stood up. He roared angrily, "How is this possible? Why didn't you inform me? What does father mean? Is he going to skip me, the crown prince? Also, wasn't that brat captured by the Haoqi alliance? Why is he back? He has really awakened the royal bloodline of the yellow dragon." Chapter 164. I'm not sure. Eunuch Zhang from the palace is already here. He's waiting for you in the main hall. The old servant knelt on the ground and said as he trembled, "As the saying goes, when a man achieves the Tao, even his servants and dogs rise to the heavens." If the status of the crown prince of the Great Qin dynasty were to fall, it would affect everyone in the crown prince's residence. The crown prince tried his best to calm himself down and walked out of the side hall. A huge storm was about to engulf Great Chun. Outside the royal capital of Great Chun, the sky was cloudless. Zhou Xuanji and Zhao Songjian walked slowly. Someone followed behind them. It was Tanhua Sect's Thousand Hands Devil, Qin Gang. "Vice Suzerain, why are you going to the Great Qin Empire?" Qin Gang asked respectfully. This guy had mostly recovered from his injuries. Although he had changed into a white robe, it could not conceal his terrifying demonic aura. "None of your business. Stay away from me. I'm not your vice suzerain," Zhou Xuanji said impatiently. Why was this guy like a glue that could not be shaken off? "The suzerain asked me to follow you and protect you. We will rebuild Tanhua Sect together," Qin Gang said with a passionate look on his face. He suddenly cried out, "Tanhua in the human world, Azura in Hades." Zhou Xuanji slapped him straight away, but he dodged it nimbly. "What's wrong with you?" Zhou Xuanji cursed. "Your Tanhua sect has become the target of scorn, and you still have the cheek to shout? You don't want to live?" Qin Gang said seriously. "Although Tanhua sect has declined, we must not lose our pride. Vice Suzerain, you must do the same. Keep your pride and unyielding character." "Lunatic," Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes. "Is everyone in Tanhua sect crazy? Zhao Songjian was speechless too, but he could not defeat Qin Gang, so he could only remain silent. I'm going to kill Great Qin's crown prince. If you follow me and are exposed, you will die in the royal capital. Zhou Xuanji tried his best to speak calmly. Having heard him, Qin Gang was fearless and said, I must protect the vice suzerain. Or else, if the suzerain dies at Duantian Cliff, I will not have the face to face the suzerain. Zhou Xuanji felt a headache. This guy looked serious, but why was he chattering like Xuanzang? He was just short of chanting scriptures. And so, the three entered the royal capital together. After asking around, they headed towards the crown prince's residence. Along the way, they heard many rumors about the new crown prince, Chen Bantian, the royal bloodline of the Yellow Dragon. He had suddenly returned, become the heir apparent. Chen Bantian had become an influential figure in Great Chun, just like when Zhou Xuanji was in Great Zhou. Good lad, he might really become the emperor of Great Chun in the future. Zhao Songjian sighed. Thinking of the sleeping young man who used to follow behind them, he felt gratified and proud. Qin Gang asked curiously, Do you know the crown prince of Great Chun? The two did not reply. They had yet to acknowledge Qin Gang, so why would they say so much to him? 2 hours later, they found the crown prince's residence. The crown prince's residence was surrounded by a circle of soldiers, each of them dignified and fierce. The three of them stood at the corner of the street and observed silently. Let's go and seek justice. Zhou Xuanji took the lead and walked forward, followed by Zhao Songjian. Qin Gang wiped his face with his right hand, and his face changed. He became ordinary and unremarkable. It would be hard to find him in a crowd. When they arrived at the gate, they were stopped by 2 soldiers. The crown prince's residence is not to be entered, one of the tall soldiers said with a deep voice. His face was filled with impatience. Recently, the crown prince's residence had become the joke of the entire Great Chun. As guards, they were embarrassed. Tell your crown prince that Zhao Songjian is looking for him. As long as you tell him his name, he will surely come out. Zhou Xuanji said calmly. He did not take out his legendary sword, nor was he afraid of blowing things up. According to his understanding, there was no particularly powerful person in Great Chun. The most powerful person was the emperor of Great Chun. But with Chen Bantian, it was not a problem. To put it bluntly, he did not take Great Chun seriously at all. How many wars had Great Chun bowed down to Great Zhou? Who do you think you are? You can meet the crown prince whenever you want. The tall soldier said impatiently. As he spoke, he was about to push Zhou Xuanji. I'm here. At this moment, the crown prince's voice came from the residence. He walked out with a group of soldiers with a majestic gait. He was still wearing his luxurious golden outfit and had a proud smile on his face. He walked to the gate and looked down at Zhou Xuanji and the other 2 from the stairs. You're Zhao Songjian, right? I didn't expect you to dare to come here. Do you want to accompany your dead family members? The crown prince laughed presumptuously. His words were filled with sarcasm. Zhao Songjian heard him, and his face turned cold immediately. Before questioning, the other party admitted it directly. How could he not be angry? Or do you want to see Ming? Ming gave birth to 2 children for me. Are you envious? The crown prince asked provocatively, and the surrounding soldiers surrounded him. Do your 2 children look like Songjian? Zhou Xuanji asked with a raised brow. Having heard him, the crown prince's smile froze immediately. Qin Gang could not hold it and burst out laughing. You're seeking death. I will kill you first, then torture him slowly. Guards, attack! The crown prince cried out furiously. The soldiers who were close to him drew their swords and charged toward Zhou Xuanji. Swoosh! 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 Zhou Xuanji took a step forward. Numerous legendary swords appeared around him and charged toward the soldiers around him. These soldiers did not have high cultivation and could not withstand his legendary swords at all. Blood splattered. The soldiers' throats were slit by the legendary swords and fell to the ground. Your Highness, be careful. A black-robed old man behind the crown prince quickly pulled him back. At this moment, the hundreds of soldiers around him were all lying in a pool of blood. All the legendary swords turned around and pointed at the crown prince. You dare to attack under the emperor's feet. You are too arrogant. The crown prince of the great Qin dynasty was frightened, and he roared angrily. Zhou Xuanji raised his right hand, and the chicken-slaying sword appeared in his hand. He snorted coldly. Brat, you are in big trouble now. Today, I will let you taste the horror of death. He walked toward the crown prince with his sword. The black-robed old man dashed forward and slapped toward him with his right palm. Zhou Xuanji raised his left palm and met the old man's palm. The two palms met, and the two began to compete in spirit energy. The ground beneath their feet crumbled immediately. Boom! Zhou Xuanji took 4 steps back, while the black-robed old man took 1 step back. Humph! A mere astral infant cultivator wants to harm the crown prince? The black-robed old man said with disdain. He was an astral projection and had watched the crown prince grow up. Naturally, he had to attack. But Zhou Xuanji's sword shocked him. So many swords, could it be impossible? How could sword god Zhou only be an astral infant? Zhou Xuanji smiled. All the legendary swords gathered above his head. An immense pressure exploded, shaking the crown prince's residence and the nearby streets. Stop him for me, Zhou Xuanji said. After that, he walked forward. The black-robed old man slapped toward him again. At this moment, Qin Gang moved. As though he teleported, he came to the black-robed old man's side. He swung his right arm and struck the old man's throat. Boom! The horrifying force threw the black-robed old man onto the ground. His legs were facing the sky as he smashed onto the cracked ground. Chapter 165. The old man in the black robe was knocked to the ground by Qin Gang in one move. Several streets nearby trembled. The crown prince of the Great Shun was so frightened that he quickly retreated and wanted to escape into his residence. At this moment, Zhou Xuanji came up to the crown prince with the 8-step sword lunge. With the chicken-slaying sword in hand, he quickly executed the Trisource vein-severing sword. Great Qin's crown prince was also at astral infant, but it was a pity that he was facing Zhou Xuanji. Pucci! All the meridians of the crown prince of the Great Shun were instantly severed by the sword Qi, and blood spurted from all over his body. Plop! He knelt in front of Zhou Xuanji, and his arms hung limply by his side. His face was horrified, and his eyes were filled with fear and despair. Zhou Xuanji walked up and looked down at him. You are very arrogant. You wanted Song Jian's woman and killed his entire family. Now, you even want to kill us. Do you know that good will be rewarded and evil will be punished? The crown prince of Great Shun shouted in panic. I am the crown prince of Great Shun. If you kill me, you will not be able to leave. Let me go. I will pretend that nothing happened. I will not find trouble with Zhao Songjian anymore. I can even return Ming to him. At this moment, he could no longer care about his face. All he wanted was to stay alive. All the meridians in his body were severed, causing him to be unable to muster the slightest bit of strength, let alone spiritual power. Zhou Xuanji swung the chicken-slaying sword. The sword flashed, and Great Qin's crown prince closed his eyes instinctively. Next, he felt a piercing pain coming from below. Ah! He raised his head and screamed at the top of his lungs. Zhao Songjian, who walked through the door, smiled. He knew how powerful the chicken-slaying sword was. Awesome! Awesome! He felt that the hatred that had accumulated in his heart for a long time had finally dispersed. Zhou Xuanji looked at him and said, You kill them. Be quick. He nodded, drew his sword, and walked in front of the crown prince of Great Shun. Due to the indescribable pain, the crown prince of the Great Shun laid on the ground with his forehead touching the ground. His face was contorted, and his body convulsed. Killing you 10,000 times won't be enough to satisfy my hatred. Zhao Songjian looked down at the crown prince of Great Shun and said coldly. After saying that, he slashed down with his sword. Then, a human head fell to the ground and rolled forward. The body of the crown prince of the Great Shun convulsed, and then stopped moving, lying in a pool of blood. That's it, Zhou Xuanji asked with a raised brow. If it were him, he would not be able to vent his hatred even if he killed the crown prince of Great Shun. Zhao Songjian nodded and said, Master always said, with the sword in your heart, the sword will embrace the world. I understand now. Zhou Xuanji was speechless and did not know how to explain. At the same time, Qin Gang carried the black-robed elder as if he was carrying a dead dog. Vice Sect Leader, are we going to leave or make a scene? Qin Gang asked respectfully. He was very powerful, or else the old man would not have panicked so much back then. If he and Zhou Xuanji worked together, they were confident that they could come and go as they wished. I told you, I'm not your Vice Sect Leader. Zhou Xuanji stared at him and berated him. At that moment, a group of women walked out of the mansion. When they saw the corpse of the crown prince of the Great Shun, they all screamed in fear. One of the quiet ladies stared at Zhao Songjian in disbelief. Zhao Songjian also noticed her gaze. He turned around and their eyes met. In an instant, it was as if they were the only ones left in the world. Long time no see. I've come for revenge. Zhao Songjian spoke. His tone was calm, without agitation or hatred. Back then, he was ignorant and innocent. Now that they met again, the beautiful lady was already the wife of his enemy. There was nothing more tragic than this. Why are you so reckless? You killed him. Can you escape? The quiet lady asked as she gritted her teeth. Zhou Xuanji looked at them as though he was watching a show. Boom! A horrifying pressure came. Qin Gang broke the neck of the black-robed elder in his hand and threw him to the ground. He waved his right hand, and a ball of green flame burned the elder into ashes. You dare to make a scene in Great Shun. None of you can leave today. A domineering and majestic voice came and shook the entire royal capital of Great Shun. The quiet lady's expression changed drastically. His Majesty is here. She cried out immediately. The Emperor of Great Shun, the most powerful cultivator in Great Shun. Zhou Xuanji was expressionless, and so was Qin Gang. Zhao Songjian took a deep breath and said to the quiet lady, Take care. A majestic silhouette descended from the sky and smashed into the high wall of the Crown Prince's residence. The door was smashed into pieces, and dust swept up. Qin Gang charged straight into the dust. Clang! He was pushed back, and the Emperor of Great Shun was also sent flying away. The Emperor of Great Shun wore a royal robe embroidered with a 5-clawed golden dragon. He looked to be in his 40s and looked very majestic. Who are you? The Emperor stared at Qin Gang and asked with a deep voice. Qin Gang stood up slowly and said, Every debt has its debtor. Your son massacred an entire family for no reason. Today is revenge. As the Emperor of Great Shun, don't you know right from wrong? He was in disguise now. As long as he did not use his trump card, no one could recognize him. Zhou Xuanji said to Zhao Songjian, Are we leaving? Zhao Songjian nodded. The two of them turned around and prepared to leave. Wait. The quiet lady called out to Zhao Songjian suddenly and asked with gritted teeth, Can you bring me along? Zhao Songjian looked back at her and said, Take care. After that, he leaped up and followed behind Zhou Xuanji. The two of them flew toward the outskirts of the royal capital. Qin Gang followed closely behind. The Emperor of Great Shun would not let them escape. Silhouettes flew up from every corner of the royal capital, like thousands of arrows shooting into the sky. It was a majestic sight. You dared to kill the Crown Prince of Great Shun, and you still want to leave? Stop him. Today we must kill them here. Or else, Great Shun will lose its face. Presumptuous. Kill him. Spirit, refinement, cultivation. No wonder he is so arrogant. These people had high cultivations. Their auras gathered together, and the royal capital fell into silence. Zhou Xuanji looked around. There were at least 1,000 people, and the lowest cultivation was at Astral Infant. This showed how powerful Great Shun was. The Emperor of Great Shun flew up into the sky and stared at Qin Gang. With your cultivation, you must not be a nobody. Tell me the truth. The northern wilderness region was vast, but Great Shun was relatively small. He was afraid of offending a power that was more powerful than Great Shun. Just when Qin Gang was about to speak, Zhou Xuanji spoke first. Your son massacred my sword slave's entire family. Killing him alone is already too easy for him. Zhou Xuanji stared at the Emperor of Great Chun and said. His tone was cold, but there was a hint of murderous intent in it. The Emperor of Great Chun frowned. Just when he was about to reprimand this nobody, his expression changed drastically in the next second. Numerous legendary swords appeared behind Zhou Xuanji. Crimson Dragon Sword, Frost Wave Sword, Bloodbath Sword, Tiger Roar Sword, Wind Cutter Sword, Swine Culling Sword, Golden Rock Sword, Heaven Sound Sword, Hell King Sword, Residual Image Sword, Thunderclap Sword, Formless Sword, Furious Ape Sword, Chicken Slaying Sword, Water Driving Sword, Falcon Sword, Magnetic Sword, Ghost Curse Sword, Book Cutter Sword, Sky Sundering Emperor Sword, Storm Calmer, Living Snake Sword, God Emperor Sword. Other than the Chicken Slaying Sword in his hand, there were 33 legendary swords in total. Sword God Zhou. You are Sword God Zhou. The Emperor cried out in shock. With this, the 1,000 powerful cultivators in the sky above the royal capital were in an uproar. Chapter 166. Sword God Zhou? He is Sword God Zhou? Impossible. Why did Sword God Zhou come to Great Chun? That's right. Look at those swords. Only Sword God Zhou can control so many swords. Didn't you hear what he said? The Crown Prince killed the entire family of his sword slaves. With Sword God Zhou's personality, he would surely do so. He even dared to kill the Empress of Great Zhou, let alone our Crown Prince. The experts of Great Chun discussed among themselves, all of them feeling somewhat fearful. A man's reputation is like a tree's shadow. In the current world, Sword God Zhou was definitely an influential figure. Great Zhou, Haoqi Alliance, Xinhao Sect, and Baba Blade Saint all wanted to kill Sword God Zhou. Who succeeded? Great Chun was no match for these four behemoths. The Emperor of Great Chun had an ugly expression on his face. He was in a dilemma. If he let Zhou Xuanji and the other two go, how could he answer to the people of Great Chun? But if they didn't, would they be able to beat them? For a moment, the atmosphere became heavy. Zhou Xuanji looked at the Emperor of Great Chun. All 33 legendary swords were pointed at him, which made him break out in a cold sweat. He might not even be able to deal with Qin Gang alone, let alone Sword God Zhou. Do you really want to fight to the death? Zhou Xuanji asked with squinted eyes. He raised his left hand and gripped the God Emperor sword. Following that, wisps of monarch ghost chi wrapped around his body. His aura began to soar, causing everyone to be moved. Father. At this time, Chun Bantian suddenly flew over. He flew between Zhou Xuanji and the Emperor of Great Chun. He first bowed to Zhou Xuanji before saying to the Emperor, Father, Sword God Zhou is my benefactor. The reason why he offended Haoqi Alliance was to save me. They sent me to Great Chin's border custom and overcame all obstacles along the way. We cannot be ungrateful. The Emperor of Great Chun frowned when he heard that. He heaved a sigh of relief. The more he looked at Chun Bantian, the more he liked him. The way out came just in time. He took a deep breath and said, So that's how it is. Brother Zhou is a man of great benevolence and righteousness. It is I who did not teach my son well enough to raise such a useless person. I am truly ashamed. Since that's the case, the two matters cancel each other out. I don't care about it, so please don't take it to heart. How about I set up a banquet for you? Zhou Xuanji shook his head and said, No need, let's go. With that, he left with Qin Gang and Zhao Songjian. No one dared to stop them. They could only watch as they left. In the royal city, countless people saw Zhou Xuanji flying with dozens of legendary swords, and they cried out in shock. It's really Sword God Zhou. Oh my God, I didn't expect Sword God Zhou to come to Great Chun. Such grace. He's a role model for our generation. I heard that the Hegemon Sword Sect's exquisite sword heart, Lin Chang'e, and Sword God Zhou agreed to a duel. I wonder if it's true? In the Northern Wilderness region, Sword God Zhou's sword technique can be ranked in the top 3, but his cultivation is not the best. I have a feeling that Sword God Zhou is comparable to the ancient sword emperors. Within the royal capital of Great Chun, there were still many people who admired Zhou Xuanji. Even Zhou Xuanji had underestimated his reputation. Vice Sect Master is really famous. Qin Gang sighed in amazement. His eyes were burning with passion. Zhou Xuanji knew what he was thinking even without thinking. When the World Millennium Duel begins, you might be able to put up a fight. Zhou Xuanji and Zhao Songjian were curious. What was the World Millennium Duel? Qin Gang saw their confusion and explained. The World Millennium Duel is a duel to determine the most powerful cultivators in the northern wilderness region. It's held once every 1,000 years. Our sect master has already won twice, which is why he is the top cultivator in the evil sections. There's still a few hundred years before the next World Millennium Duel. You still have time. The winner of the World Millennium Duel will become the most powerful cultivator in the past 1,000 years. There's no second place, only the most powerful. Zhou Xuanji and Zhao Songjian were fascinated by the story, and their blood boiled. Which cultivator did not want to be the most powerful? The title of the most powerful cultivator in the world was enough for billions of people to fight for it. World Millennium Duel? That will be the moment I become the most powerful cultivator in the world. Zhou Xuanji smiled confidently, and Qin Gang chuckled at his words. Sword God Zhou was indeed famous now, but in the eyes of the truly powerful cultivators, it was nothing. Even Xian Xianghua might not be able to win such a title, let alone Zhou Xuanji. Of course, he did not say anything to discourage Zhou Xuanji. This was his vice sect master after all. The three left quickly. At the same time, the Emperor of Great Chun summoned everyone to the main hall of the royal palace. Chun Bantian stood at the center of the hall and recounted what happened to him. He did not mention the Tianxia map, but only said that Haoqi Alliance was after him for some reason. It was not because he wanted to protect anyone. It was because the Tianxia map was of great importance. Once it was revealed, it could bring disaster to Great Chun. He was the future emperor, so he had to think carefully. After he finished, all the officials in the hall sighed in amazement. When Sword God Zhou first became famous, he was known for his unparalleled benevolence. Haoqi Alliance is too much. I think this is Great Shang's scheme. That's right. Now the other 6 empires are getting restless and preparing for a war between humans. Great Shang wants to take away our yellow dragon royal bloodline. What a pity. This is our chance to rope in Sword God Zhou. Hearing the discussions on both sides, Chun Bantian smiled. If he told them that Zhou Xuanji was a prince of Great Zhou, these people would not dare to recruit him anymore. The emperor looked up at Chun Bantian and said, "From today onwards, you are the crown prince. Work hard on your cultivation. The war is near, and you will lead the army in the future." The sun in front of him had already awakened the royal bloodline of the yellow dragon, which filled him with anticipation. He believed that, with enough time, the yellow dragon would rule over the northern wilderness. "I will not disappoint you, father." Chun Bantian cupped his fist and said excitedly. He could not wait to become the emperor. 4 days later, Zhou Xuanji and the other 2 came to Great Chen's border custom. Just when they walked out, Qin Gang stopped them. "What's wrong?" Zhao Songjian asked with a frown. He looked ahead and saw a boundless plain. The horizon was filled with sand and wind, and there was no trace of people. Qin Gang said with a deep voice, "A powerful enemy is coming. We are in trouble." To be called a powerful enemy by him, the enemy must be very powerful. Zhou Xuanji raised his right hand, and the glorious gold legendary sword, Hegemonjio, appeared in his hand. "Sword God Zhou, you killed the grandson of our sect leader. Today, you must pay with your blood." A voice filled with a murderous aura came. Next, a sandstorm swept toward them from the horizon. The people inside and outside the border custom were stunned. The soldiers on the high walls were even more vigilant. At the same time, they looked around curiously. Sword God Zhou is here? Soon, everyone locked their eyes on Zhou Xuanji. Hegemonjio's appearance was too eye-catching. It was hard not to notice. Xinhao sect Huang Han Tian, Qin Gang said with a gloomy face. A tinge of fear could be seen in his eyes. Zhou Xuanji asked with a frown, "Who is Huang Han Tian?" Is he related to Huang Ming? Huang Han Tian, the second most powerful cultivator in Xinhao sect. His son, Huang Ming, is the top genius in Xinhao sect. He has the potential to become the sect leader, Qin Gang said with gritted teeth. Zhou Xuanji squinted his eyes at his words. The second most powerful cultivator in Xinhao sect. Chapter 167. Huang Ming has a father? Zhou Xuanji mumbled. From what Huang Ming had said, he had thought that the Ghost Emperor clan only had Huang Ming and Huang Lianxin. He did not expect there to be another Huang Hantian. Qin Gang sighed. Huang Hantian is very strong. I am no match for him. The sandstorm was unstoppable, and it was going to destroy Great Qin's border customs. Zhou Xuanji stepped forward and swung his sword fiercely. The sword chi transformed into the sun, moon, and stars and swept out. The scene was spectacular, and countless people were in an uproar. The sun, moon, and stars were majestic and extremely fast. They broke through the dust storm with the force of a dam bursting. What an exquisite sword technique. It looks like a single sword, but the sword moves are ever-changing. Qin Gang was secretly shocked. It seemed that the rumors in the outside world were true. Great Qin soldiers and cultivators were also amazed by the sun, moon, and stars. The sun, moon, and stars blasted the rolling dust storm into two halves. Soon, the sword chi dissipated without a trace. A figure flew out from the dust storm. He was clad in golden armor and had his hands spread out. Gusts of wind coiled around his body like a tornado. His white hair danced wildly in the wind. His face was hideous, as though it had been burned by fire. His snake-like eyes stared at Zhou Xuanji coldly. Huang Hantian, the second strongest in Xinhao sect. He was a demonic powerhouse who struck terror into the hearts of all living beings. Countless demonic cultivators from Xinhao sect flew out from the dust storm. They looked like demons descending into the world. As far as the eye could see, there were at least 200,000 of them, causing the people inside and outside of Great Qin's borders to tremble in fear. Quickly inform the imperial city and the nearby cities to send reinforcements. Xinhao sect is attacking. One of the generals guarding the pass shouted with all his might. He also took out his magical artifact and prepared to fight. Huang Hantian flew toward Zhou Xuanji and the others. Sword God Zhou, if I absorb your spirit energy, I might be able to break through to the great realization stage directly. His voice was extremely cold, causing those who heard it to feel terrified. Zhou Xuanji raised his left hand, and the God Emperor sword appeared. Then, the other divine swords appeared behind him, each stirring up gusts of wind. Want to kill me? Who do you think you are? Zhou Xuanji said mockingly with a smile. Huang Hantian was indeed very strong, and he did not have the confidence to go against him. But he was not going to sit and wait for death. Qin Gang took a deep breath and raised both of his hands. Demonic chi seeped out of his body and condensed into a 100-foot-tall demonic shadow with 1,000 arms. It was a dazzling sight. Zhou Xuanji glanced at him and was shocked in his heart. This fellow's aura was actually so powerful. He had truly underestimated him in the past. Thousand-Hand Devil. TSK, TSK. I didn't expect the great sword god Zhou to be with the remnants of Tanhua sect. Huang Hantian laughed coldly. He purposely raised his voice so that it reverberated through the heavens and earth, causing a commotion among the crowd. In the entire northern wilderness region, the most pathetic evil sect was the Tanhua sect. Everyone wanted to beat them up, and even the other evil sects could not tolerate them. No one expected Sword God Zhou to team up with the Tanhua sect. Could it be that Sword God Zhou was from Tanhua sect? Sword God Zhou had been famous for a long time, but no one knew where he came from. Zhou Xuanji sighed inwardly. This time, even if yellow mud fell into his pants, it was still shit. Qin Gang snorted coldly and rushed out first. He stomped on the ground with his right foot, and the ground beneath his feet crumbled immediately. He soared into the sky with the Thousand-Hand Devil and swiftly flew above Huang Hantian's head. He slammed both of his palms toward Huang Hantian, and the thousand-hand devil behind him followed suit. 1,000 palms at the same time. How horrifying! Boom, boom, boom! The demonic palms landed on Huang Hantian's body one after another, but were blocked by his demonic chi. Even so, the surrounding dust storm dispersed immediately. The ground collapsed, and cracks appeared everywhere. The ground within a radius of 100 miles shook violently. A powerful gale swept toward all directions. Zhao Congjian was forced to retreat. Zhou Xuanji charged forward with all his legendary swords. The God Emperor appeared on his body with 2 swords in his hands, and the other legendary swords shot out like sharp arrows. Zhou Xuanji stepped on the Wind Cutter sword and used the 8-step sword lunge. He leaped over the thousand-hand devil and slashed continuously toward Huang Hantian. Sky-dominating divine sword. The sword moves were domineering. The sword momentum was domineering, and the sword chi was even more domineering. The sword chi landed, and with a loud boom, Huang Hantian was pressed downward. Huang Hantian's white hair danced wildly, and the ferocity of an unparalleled evil demon was fully displayed. Thousand-hand devil. Sword God Zhou. Very good. Today, I will show you why Xinhao sect can become the pillar of the evil sects. He laughed wildly and arrogantly. He pushed his palms upward forcefully. A wave of horrifying demonic chi pushed Zhou Xuanji away and forced Qin Gang to slide backward. This guy, I feel like he's much more powerful than the sword monarch of Great Zhou. Zhou Xuanji looked solemn. He did not know since when the sword monarch of Great Zhou had become his standard to measure the power of his enemies. At this moment, Huang Hantian disappeared suddenly. He transformed into a series of afterimages and charged toward Zhou Xuanji. Zhou Xuanji immediately activated 6-path Sword Shadow. In Soul Eater Slash, 18 streaks of black sword chi rampaged and destroyed all of Huang Hantian's afterimages. But Huang Hantian was even faster. He appeared behind Zhou Xuanji out of nowhere and lashed out with a leg that was like a whip. The kick sent Zhou Xuanji flying backward and vomiting blood. Qin Gang charged over with a furious roar. Thousand-hand devil's aura surged, and the heavens and earth shook. Zhou Xuanji stabilized his body and charged over again. The two of them fought Huang Hantian together. Boom, boom, boom. The three of them intertwined with one another and fought back and forth. The impact caused the plains to explode and collapse, and dust billowed into the sky. Great Qin's soldiers of the border custom were dumbfounded. They felt as though they were witnessing a fight between immortals. Xinhao sect's Po Pontian, so powerful. The three of them are all famous. Now that they're fighting outside Great Qin's borders, will they bring harm to Great Qin? Very likely. Look, those evil cultivators have not moved yet. I feel that Sword God Zhou cannot defeat him. Of course, Huang Hantian is an old devil who has lived for thousands of years. No matter how powerful Zhou Xuanji is, he cannot defeat him so quickly. A few years ago, Sword God Zhou was injured even when he fought an inner pellet cultivator. The soldiers cried out in shock and began discussing among themselves. Zhou Xuanji activated his dual sword wills, but he still could not defeat Huang Hantian. The difference in cultivation was too great. Even with 2 glorious gold legendary swords, he could barely hold his ground. Qin Gang gave it his all and cast all sorts of evil spells, but Huang Hantian broke them easily. Boom! Huang Hantian descended from the sky and stomped on the ground. The impact sent Zhou Xuanji and Qin Gang flying back as they vomited blood. The wasteland, which was already in ruins, collapsed again. The impact swept over 10,000 meters, and cracks appeared on the high walls of Great Qin's border custom. Zhao Congjian was forced to fly up on his sword, far away from the ground. Before Qin Gang could stabilize himself, Huang Hantian grabbed his neck and lifted him high into the air. Zhou Xuanji waved his right hand, and all the legendary swords above silver grade shot toward him. Huang Hantian did not even look at the legendary swords. He waved his left hand, and a stream of demonic qi in the shape of a dragon flew out from his sleeve and engulfed all the legendary swords. Zhou Xuanji was too close and could not dodge in time. He was sent flying backward immediately. Even his white dragon golden robe was cut by the legendary swords and blood splattered. Boom! Before he landed, Huang Hantian stomped on Zhou Xuanji's chest with Qin Gang in his hand. The stomp forced Zhou Xuanji straight down, kicking up a cloud of dust. Damn! Qin Gang gritted his teeth and felt terrible. Zhou Xuanji felt that all the bones in his body were broken. Pressed down by Huang Hantian, he could not move at all. Sword God Zhou, your sword techniques and swords are powerful. It's a pity that your cultivation is too low. Your body cannot withstand my attacks. Huang Hantian looked down at him and laughed mockingly. 1 against 2. The second most powerful cultivator in Xinhao sect. He lived up to his reputation. Zhou Xuanji stared at him fixedly and struggled with all his might. His body turned golden, and he could not stand up even with the golden invincibility. Let me absorb all of your spirit energy. Huang Hantian laughed wildly. As long as he absorbed Zhou Xuanji and Qin Gang's spirit energy, he could surpass Ta Tianqian and become the most powerful cultivator in Xinhao sect. Huang Hantian, you little kid, do you want to die? At this moment, a cold female voice resounded between the heavens and the earth. Huang Hantian's expression changed drastically, while Qin Gang was overjoyed. Chapter 168. Xian Xianghua. Huang Hantian shuddered and immediately left Qin Gang behind. He jumped away quickly and did not even care about Zhou Xuanji. He flew to the front of the demonic cultivator army of Xinhao sect and looked around nervously. Xian Xianghua, why are you here? He gritted his teeth and shouted. Facing Xian Xianghua, he did not even dare to take Qin Gang as a hostage. Back then, when he was still young and inexperienced, Xian Xianghua had already won a world millennium duel and became #1 in the world. At that time, how arrogant was Xian Xianghua? She killed people and demons. She was the nightmare of their generation. Even though Huang Hantian had already become a top-notch expert, he still felt fear when facing Xian Xianghua. Sect leader. Qin Gang knelt on the ruins with a thud, unable to contain his excitement. Tanhua in the human world, Azura in hell. He roared as if he had been injected with chicken blood. Zhou Xuanji got up and patted the dust off his body. His face was unsightly, and he did not show any joy. This time, it was really too embarrassing. Xian Xianghua's arrival made him feel complicated. This time, he was really going to fall into the deep pit that was the Tanhua sect. How dare you call me by my name? Child, have you forgotten how lowly you were when you knelt before me and begged for mercy? Xian Xianghua's voice rang out again, and everyone turned to look. She came from the north, and the rolling sandstorm could not hide her demonic aura. A terrifying killing intent swept through Great Qin's border custom. Huang Hantian's face was so gloomy that it looked like it was about to drip water. He was not embarrassed, only nervous. I can let Qin Gang go, but Sword God Zhou, you cannot interfere. He gritted his teeth and shouted. Even the way he addressed her had changed. Sword God Zhou is our Tanhua sect's vice suzerain. You are very daring. If you don't leave in 3 breaths' time, prepare to die. 3. Xian Xianghua's tone was filled with killing intent, scaring Huang Hantian so much that he turned around and fled. He didn't even care about his subordinates. The devil cultivators of Xinhao sect were not stupid. They ran away quickly. Soon, the vast army disappeared into the horizon. Zhou Xuanji covered his forehead and looked up at the sky without tears. It's over. I knew this old witch was going to say that he was the vice sect leader. He sank into despair. At the side, Qin Gang was still kowtowing to Xian Xianghua like a fanatical believer. Zhou Xuanji kicked his butt in anger, but the guy did not stop kowtowing. Zhao Congjian flew over and asked about Zhou Xuanji's injuries. Zhou Xuanji shook his head. indicating that he was fine. Xian Xianghua arrived in front of them. This old witch wore a purple patterned black robe and still wore a veil. She was mysterious and full of charm. She ignored Qin Gang and looked at Zhou Xuanji with a smile. "Little Phoenix, were you touched just now? If I'm in danger of death, I'll definitely hope that the person I love can arrive in time. Just thinking about it makes me happy." At this point, she even pretended to be bashful like a shy little woman. Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes. Even if he wanted to thank her, he could not say it now. Qin Gang raised his head and asked excitedly, "Sect leader, how did you escape?" Xian Xianghua walked up to Zhou Xuanji and put her hand on his shoulder. He wanted to dodge, but she pressed down so hard that he could not move. "That bunch of trash wants to kill me? I left one of my puppets at the Heaven's End cliff, and they're still standing guard there, each more foolish than the last." She laughed disdainfully and instantly returned to her arrogant and unruly self. "Okay, let's leave this place first." She let go of Zhou Xuanji's shoulder and flew toward the horizon. The others followed closely behind her. At the same time, Great Qin's border custom was in an uproar. "Sword God Zhou is the vice suzerain of Tanhua sect? Yeah, didn't that devil go to Great Shang to find Sword God Zhou? And he even injured the Emperor and Fury Buddha. This is an earth-shattering secret. How can it be? How can Sword God Zhou be an evil cultivator? Oh no, my faith has collapsed. Tanhua sect was the enemy of the entire Northern Wilderness region. Sword God Zhou joined Tanhua sect and instantly turned from a hero to an evil devil. Once this news spread, Zhou Xuanji would become the enemy of the world. At the same time, Huang Hantian and the evil cultivators were still fleeing. Something's not right. Huang Hantian stopped suddenly and mumbled with a frown. With her personality, she would not let me go. Could she be injured? His face turned hideous immediately. "How dare you trick me?" An evil cultivator beside him was enraged too. "Vice Suzerain, shall we kill our way back? Kill my ass. Return to the sect." Huang Hantian snorted coldly and continued to flee. He had no confidence to face Xian Xianghua. What if Xian Xianghua really had the ability to kill him? The person he feared the most in his life was Xian Xianghua. 2 hours later, Xian Xianghua suddenly dove into the forest, and Zhou Xuanji followed her. She was holding onto the tree trunk with her left hand and clutching her chest with her right hand. She coughed up blood continuously. Qin Gang walked up to her and asked anxiously, "Suzerain, are you all right?" Xian Xianghua wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She walked to the side and sat down with her legs crossed to heal her injuries. Zhou Xuanji frowned and could not help but ask, "You are severely injured, and you still want to come out? Aren't you afraid that Huang Hantian will kill you? This old demonic woman, that trash dares to kill me? Even if he guessed that I was severely injured, he would not dare to do it." Xian Xianghua said with disdain, but fatigue could be seen on her face. Zhou Xuanji sighed and did not speak further. He was still too weak. "Don't be discouraged. You are already very powerful. If you can even defeat Huang Hantian, you could be listed in the Northern Wilderness Top 100. Although Xian Xianghua did not open her eyes, she could sense Zhou Xuanji's reluctance. Hearing her consolation, Zhou Xuanji did not feel good. He only shook his head and smiled. "Top 100 of the Northern Wilderness?" Zhao Tsongjian asked curiously. He understood the meaning of the name, but he was curious about who would decide it. Qin Gang explained, "The top 100 of the Northern Wilderness is listed by the sacred ground, the Songhai Ziggurat. The Songhai Ziggurat has the best information gathering ability in the Northern Wilderness region. The top 100 of the Northern Wilderness has been listed for 10,000 years. In the beginning, it was not real enough, but today the top 100 of the Northern Wilderness definitely lives up to its name. The Northern Wilderness top 100 are all famous people, such as Emperor Yin of Zhou, Lin Guanyu, Huang Hantian, Fury Buddha of Great Shang, Tatianshan, etc. The Songhai Ziggurat will spare no effort to promote the top 100 of the Northern Wilderness so that the whole world knows about them." Zhao Tsongjin's eyes lit up and he felt his blood boiling. Zhou Xuanji asked, "Did the Sword Monarch enter the Northern Wilderness top 100? Qin Gang shook his head and said, "He is one of the people closest to the top 100 of the Northern Wilderness." So that was how it was. Zhou Xuanji was calm. It seemed that his defeat was not unjust. "I believe in you. Before the next World Millennium Duel, you will be able to enter the Northern Wilderness top 100. By then, you can witness how I become the top cultivator in the world again." Xian Xianghua smiled again. Her tone was as conceited as ever. Zhou Xuanji threw a white cloud at her and said unpleasantly, "I'm going to be hated by everyone soon. I don't even know if I can live to that day." Soon, the whole world would know that he was the vice suzerain of Tanhua sect. Damn, just thinking about it gave me a headache. Just Xinhao sect and Haoqi alliance made him hide everywhere, and now he became the world's public enemy. Do you really want me to hide and cultivate for 500 years before I become the best in the world with my sword? Chapter 169. By the way, are there other regions besides the Northern Wilderness region in this world? Zhou Xuanji asked out of curiosity. North meant direction, so he had no choice but to guess. Qin Gang nodded and said, "The Northern Wilderness region is surrounded by the boundless ocean. It's said that there's another world on the other side of the ocean, but those who go to the ocean rarely return." A look of yearning appeared on his face. Who wouldn't want to travel to every corner of the world? Wait until you become #1 in the world, like me, then you can think about these things. Xian Xianghua snorted. Her smug tone was asking for a beating. "We will never be able to reach sect master's height in our entire lives." Qin Gang's timely bootlicking made Zhou Xuanji roll his eyes. He patted Qin Gang's shoulder and sighed. "Please, don't be a bootlicker, okay? What is a simp?" Qin Gang asked in confusion, while Zhao Songjian held back his laughter. "When you have nothing, you will understand." Zhou Xuanji shook his head and smiled. His expression was profound, which made Qin Gang even more confused. The four continued to rest in the forest. Xian Xianghua had saved the two of them, so they naturally had to protect her for a while so that she could recover. For hours later, dusk arrived. Zhou Xuanji and Zhao Songjian bade farewell. "My vice sect master, where do you think you're going? Although the Northern Wilderness region is huge, there is no place for you. Come with me. I will treat you well and treat you like a treasure." Xian Xianghua opened her eyes and said with a smile. Zhou Xuanji shook his head and said, "I'm already old. You're not a good person. We are not suitable." With that, he turned around and left. Zhao Songjian quickly followed. Xian Xianghua was startled, and her beautiful brows instantly furrowed. She said in a low voice, "I will teach you a peerless divine art and make you invincible in the world. Are you really unwilling?" Her eyes were cold. No one had ever dared to reject her. Those who had rejected her were all dead. "Sooner or later, my sword will dominate the world. When 10,000 swords soar in the sky, it will be the time when I rule the world." Zhou Xuanji said without looking back and left quickly with Zhao Songjian. Qin Gang was stunned. He murmured, "When 10,000 swords soar in the sky, a king descends upon the world. 10,000 swords. This kid," he was shocked. Zhou Xuanji's dozens of swords were already incredible. How powerful would 10,000 be? Xian Xianghua snorted and said, "Bragging in front of me? You're still far from that level." She looked in the direction that Zhou Xuanji had left and could not come back to her senses for a long time. Sect leader Qin Gang wanted to say something but hesitated. He did not know if he should ask. Xian Xianghua glanced at him and said, "I fell in love with him at first sight, can't I? Love at first sight." Qin Gang was stunned. It turned out that the sect leader liked this kind of thing. After leaving Xian Xianghua and Zhao Songjian, Zhou Xuanji and Zhao Songjian moved forward at full speed. They looked back occasionally, afraid that Xian Xianghua would follow them. "Master, it's all my fault. It's because of me that you've caused such a disaster." Zhao Songjian's face turned pale as he blamed himself. In just a few days, the whole world would know that Zhou Xuanji was the vice sect lord of Tanhua sect. It was hard to imagine how they could survive in the world in the future. Zhou Xuanji replied calmly, "It's not your fault. The greater the pressure, the more powerful we can be. So what if the whole world hated him? As long as he was strong enough, everything was not a problem." Zhao Songjian took a deep breath, and his eyes became determined. He swore that he would cultivate hard and protect Zhou Xuanji with his life. The sun set and the moon rose. Late at night, the two returned to the valley. Sensing their aura, Delia Old Man opened the spell formation and let them in. Seeing Zhou Xuanji, Jiang Shui pounced on him and hugged him tightly. "You are finally back." She did not cry, nor was she excited. She only whispered into his ear to express how much she missed him. Zhou Xuanji patted her back lightly and smiled. "Of course I will come back. How can I bear to leave you behind?" Eek! The group cheered together and felt extremely jealous. Xiao Jinghong looked at Zhao Songjian and asked, "Did it go well?" Zhao Songjian sighed and told him what happened. Even though he got his revenge, he was not happy at all. Instead, he was filled with worry. When Delia Old Man heard that Huang Hantian blocked Zhou Xuanji and the other two, he opened his eyes wide and cried out in shock. "Huang Hantian, how did he know that you are in Great Chun? That guy can compete with Lin Guanyu. How did you guys escape?" Zhao Songjian continued to speak. After knowing that Xian Xianghua was involved, Delia Old Man's face turned even uglier. After Zhao Songjian finished speaking, he let out a heavy sigh. Chongming Demon Monarch fell on the ground and landed on the little black snake, almost breaking it. "It's over. It's over," Chongming Demon Monarch mumbled in despair. Joining Tanhua sect was equivalent to having one foot in the grave. The others looked terrible too. Just now, the righteous and evil sects, as well as the sanctums, surrounded Tanhua sect. The commotion was so great that they felt despair just by thinking about it. Zhou Xuanji said, "Tomorrow morning, we will head to Juedi Cliff." Juedi Cliff was a dangerous place, and the chances of survival were slim. There were the least people there. The more dangerous the place, the safer it was. The group nodded and had no objections. "Let's leave tonight, while it's still dark," Deoya Old Man said with a deep voice. This place was too close to Great Chun, and Xinhao sect pursued them to this place. They had to leave. "Then let's start packing," Zhou Xuanji instructed. Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, Han Xinbua, Chongming Demon Monarch, Beixiao Wangjian, and Huang Lianxin left immediately to pack their belongings. Jiang Shui stretched out her hand and placed it on Zhou Xuanji's waist. "Xuanji, why does Xian Xianghua treat you so well?" she asked with a smile that was as pretty as a flower. "Maybe because she covets my handsomeness." Zhou Xuanji pretended to be deep in thought. Immediately, he felt a sharp pain on his waist, and he quickly begged for mercy. "Umph!" Jiang Shui snorted coldly before stepping on his foot and leaving. He sighed. When a girl grows up, she gets more and more jealous. After that, he smiled and caught up with her. He hooked his arm around Jiang Shui's neck and smiled. "Don't worry. I don't like her. That old demonic woman has lived for so many years. She might look like a zombie." Half an hour later, Zhou Xuanji and Jiang Shui sat on a big, while Huang Lianxin sat on small air. The two dragon eagles soared into the night sky and shook the forest. The others followed closely behind. The little black snake laid on small air's head and sighed. "We have to run away again." Xiao Jinghong placed his hands behind his back. His long hair danced in the night wind. "This time, it's not considered running away. It's for serendipity." He smiled. The Tianxia map was hidden in Juedi Cliff. That was a supreme treasure that shook the world. Who wouldn't be curious about it? That's right. Once you get the serendipity, you can look down on the world. Xian Xianghua was like that back then. She viewed everyone as dogs, and that's why she's in such a predicament today. Deoya Old Man sat on Chongming Demon Monarch's back and chuckled. Beixiao Wangjian rolled his eyes at him and said, "The first part is okay, but isn't the last part a killjoy?" The others laughed. They had been growing stronger all along. Even when they faced a great crisis, they never panicked. They also believed that Zhou Xuanji could become the top cultivator in the world one day. Chapter 170. Sword God Zhou was Tanhua sect's vice suzerain. This news shocked Great Shun before spreading to the world. Both the righteous and evil sects, as well as the humans and demons, all received the news. The world was shocked. In the royal palace of Great Shun, Chun Bantian stood in the hall in astonishment. He knew that Zhou Xuanji was captured by Xian Xianghua, but he did not expect Zhou Xuanji to become Tanhua sect's vice suzerain. He could not help but worry for Zhou Xuanji. After all, Xian Xianghua risked her life to save Zhou Xuanji. He would not overthink things. I didn't expect this. I should have stopped him back then. The Emperor of Great Chun sat on the dragon throne with a pained and regretful look on his face as he sighed. Chun Bantian felt disgusted, but he did not show it. This was his father after all, and he still wanted to inherit the throne. Father, something is wrong. Sword God Zhou did not make things difficult for us back then, and Xinhao sect actually appeared at the border of Great Chun. Don't you feel that something is wrong? Chun Bantian cupped his fist and said. The other officials spoke as well. Everyone knows about Sword God Zhou's benevolence. That's right. Tanhua sect must want to drag Sword God Zhou down with them. With such an overt plot, they will surely force Sword God Zhou to join Tanhua sect, which will make Tanhua sect even more powerful. Xinhao sect and Tanhua sect are not good people. Indeed, I feel that if we, Great Chun, stand up for Sword God Zhou, we might gain some fame. What do you think? Good idea. Let's write a story for Sword God Zhou and announce it to the world. The emperor heard and felt that it was reasonable. Although Sword God Zhou killed his eldest son, he did not take it to heart. After all, Sword God Zhou gave him a son with the royal bloodline of the Yellow Dragon. Now that Great Chun was being eyed by the demons, he dared not to be careless. His personal feelings must be suppressed. This is really strange. But don't act in a hurry. We cannot be the first bird to stand out. The emperor muttered. Being cautious was his strength, but it was also his weakness. Great Shang. Yang Xindi rubbed his chin and thought. The state teacher Yang Zhongtian stood up and said, Your Majesty, this is obviously Xian Xianghua's scheme. She wanted to take Sword God Zhou away, but he escaped quietly. The other ministers and generals also nodded. Back when Zhou Xuanji had been drinking with them, he had been incredibly bold and had even dared to reject Yang Xindi's invitation. He was definitely not a coward from the Tanhua sect. The grandson of the Fury Buddha, Diyu, stood out and said, I believe in Sword God Zhou. Back then, during the World Hero Assembly, we all saw his bearing. Such a hero would join the Tanhua sect? Yang Xindi nodded and said, I don't suspect him either. It's just that it's such a coincidence that Xian Xianghua was able to arrive in time. Could she have colluded with Xinhao sect? He admired Zhou Xuanji. He could see the pride in Zhou Xuanji's bones. It was impossible for Zhou Xuanji to join the Tanhua sect, nor would he be forced to join. It must be slander. Your Majesty, Haoqi Alliance is also pursuing Sword God Zhou. Will the three factions work together? Back then, Lin Guanyu also ignored the might of Great Shang and barged into the country. Maybe he participated. A general stood out, cupped his fists, and spoke in a low voice. As soon as these words were spoken, it caused the entire hall to discuss animatedly. Most people were doubting, and a few people thought that Sword God Zhou was a demon. It was not everyone's opinion, but many people knew that Yang Xindi thought highly of Sword God Zhou. It's time for the alliance between Great Shang and Haoqi Alliance to end. Over the past 1,000 years, how many times has Great Shang cleaned up the mess of Haoqi Alliance? Yang Xindi snorted coldly. With these words, the hall was silent. Break off relations with Haoqi Alliance? In just 10 days, the news that Sword God Zhou was the vice suzerain of Tanhua sect spread like wildfire. At first, countless people cursed Sword God Zhou for being shameless. But some people who were saved by Sword God Zhou or witnessed his glory did not want to believe it. Until Great Shang's emperor said that Sword God Zhou would not join Tanhua sect. The public opinion changed immediately. Great Chen followed suit and said that it was impossible. Hanin Divine Sect followed suit and said that it was nonsense. Sacred Ground Dongyuan Temple's Xuanhe Divine Monk said that he had seen Sword God Zhou, that he was a righteous person, that he was favored by the heavens, and that he would never join Tanhua Sect. In an instant, the whole world stopped cursing Sword God Zhou. Everyone scolded Tanhua Sect and Xinhao Sect for being shameless, using such despicable methods to scheme against a hero. After all, ever since Sword God Zhou appeared, he had only done things to save the people and eliminate evil. No one had ever heard of Sword God Zhou taking the initiative to bully anyone. Soon, Haoqi Alliance was scolded too. Haoqi Alliance's arrest warrant for Sword God Zhou was exposed. It turned out that Haoqi Alliance was trying to kill a prince of Great Shun. Sword God Zhou saw injustice and helped them, which infuriated Haoqi Alliance. Haoqi Alliance did not dare to retort, as they were afraid that the Tianxia map would be exposed. Even Great Zhou was scolded. The change in the public opinion made Tanhua Sect, Xinhao Sect, Haoqi Alliance, and Great Zhou speechless. What was this? Within Great Zhou's territory, countless commoners begged the emperor to spare Sword God Zhou, or at least not to kill such a hero. Emperor Yin of Zhou did not hesitate and withdrew the arrest warrant, claiming that it was for the sake of the world. Because at this moment, Sword God Zhou became the most famous person in the entire northern wilderness region. In an inn in a desert, Sword God Zhou is definitely a hero. Tanhua Sect is too despicable. Yeah, if a hero like us is wronged like this, is there still justice in the world? Tanhua Sect is already at death's door, and they still want to drag our Sword God Zhou down with them. I have to say, this time, Great Shang and Great Shun are very responsible. They dare to stand up for Sword God Zhou at the risk of the world's justice. In the Empire, I admire them. Forget it. Can they do it alone? It's all because of Sword God Zhou's generosity. Even Xuanhe Divine Monk said that he was favored by the heavens. The cultivators discussed excitedly. Every table was talking about Sword God Zhou. Zhou Xuanji listened with a weird expression. The others were the same. What happened? Did they hear wrongly? Isn't this a little weird? Zhou Xuanji rubbed his chin and mumbled to himself. Could it be because he was too handsome? Before he could refute, everyone in the world spoke up for him. Chongming Demon Monarch drank a bowl of wine and sighed. The heavens are unfair. He had been following Zhou Xuanji all along. They did not do anything, and now he was cleared? What the hell? It was like a storytelling. Revered teacher's generosity is unparalleled. I'm in awe. Xiao Jinghong sighed in amazement. After that, he toasted Zhou Xuanji. Zhao Songjian, Bei Xiao Wangjian, and Huang Lianxin did the same. They toasted one after another and were all very excited. Daoya Old Man, Han Xinbua, and Chongming Demon Monarch began to drink to drown their sorrows. It was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but why did they feel a sense of sadness in their hearts? Even the wine was a little bitter. Seems like we don't have to be too careful. Zhou Xuanji grinned with a proud expression, which made Daoya Old Man want to beat him up. At this moment, a swordsman in black walked into the inn. He wore a silver mask, revealing only his eyes and mouth. Once he came in, a wave of coldness swept across the inn, and it became silent immediately. Chapter 171. The black-clothed swordsman swept his cold gaze over everyone in the inn. Seeing that the tables were already full, he asked, "Who is willing to share a table with me?" Silence. No one answered. He immediately walked to a table with only 3 people and sat down. His arrival made the atmosphere in the inn very oppressive. Northern Sword Valiant whispered, "This guy doesn't look simple." Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and the rest did not speak. The black-clothed swordsman looked around and said, "Let's continue. Sword God Zhou is the person I admire the most in my life. In today's way of the sword, no one can compare to him. I like this topic." As soon as these words came out, the inn became lively once more. "Young hero, you have good taste." Indeed, Sword god Zhou's cultivation is not top-notch, but his sword technique is world-renowned. I like his sun, moon, and stars the most. That's nothing. The scene of dozens of treasured swords soaring in the air is truly spectacular. The revival of the sword's way will depend on sword god Zhou. The black-robed swordsman soon started chatting with the other cultivators, causing Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, and the rest to look at each other. Chongming Demon Monarch covered his face and sighed. I'm convinced. Zhou Xuanji smiled proudly and said, hurry up and eat. We will be on our way after eating. Bei Xiao, go and ask if our 20 roast ducks are ready. Being famous also had its troubles. Wherever he went, people would praise him. However, what he was bragging about was the truth. It was fine as long as he didn't stop. Jiang Shui supported her chin with her left hand and pinched Zhou Xuanji's cheek with her right hand. How do you look like a righteous person? Although he is very handsome, he is also very wretched. Zhou Xuanji heard her and slapped her hand away lightly. Jealous, he snorted. After a while, everyone left with the 20 roast ducks wrapped in oiled paper. The black-clothed swordsman could not help but look at them. He had a feeling that these people had extraordinary origins. Little did he know that he had missed the greatest opportunity of his life. Not long after they left the desert inn, they found the little black snake and the 2 dragon eagles. Did you bring me any delicious food? The little black snake came over and asked with its forked tongue. No, get lost. Chongming Demon Monarch stood in front of it and shouted. Then he kicked it away. You're going too far. Don't bully the flood dragon too much. The little black snake was furious. If it wasn't for the fact that it couldn't beat this big guy, it would have rushed up and bitten him. Are we still going to Juedi Cliff? Xiao Jinghong asked. Since the world was not going after Zhou Xuanji, they did not need to hide anymore. Zhou Xuanji nodded and said, they dare to take the Tianxia map before Haoqi Alliance. If they dare to hunt us down, then let's make their efforts go to waste. No one had any objections. The group walked towards Juedi Cliff. As usual, they cultivated while walking. Xiao Jinghong, Zhao Songjian, Northern Valiant Sword, and Huang Lianxin were dancing with their swords at the front, back, left, and right respectively. This kind of sword training method could train their minds. Huang Lianxin stumbled at first, but she got used to it in less than half a day. Jiang Shui followed by Zhou Xuanji's side. Her hands continuously formed hand seals to cultivate spells. Han Shenhua humbly asked Doya, old man, for guidance. Chongming Demon Monarch was still bullying the little black snake. A big and little air were howling in the sky. They were extremely handsome now. Their wings spanned 100 feet and were like 2 small mountains. Zhou Xuanji chewed on the spirit herbs as he walked. He was thinking about how to reach the 5th level of the sword Qi Golden Body Incantation, Flesh Sword. At the 5th level, the flesh would become a legendary sword. He was looking forward to the 5th level. He had a feeling that once he mastered the flesh sword, his power would increase tremendously. And so, 3 months passed quickly. Zhou Xuanji and the rest traveled leisurely. They toured during the day and cultivated at night. The journey was not boring at all. This made them quite a distance away from Juedi Cliff. This day they stopped suddenly. The 3-eyed drought rodent smelled the scent of treasure again. Zhou Xuanji sent Zhao Songjian and Han Shenhua to chase after it. The rest rested where they were. How many powerful demons are there in the Northern Wilderness top 100? Zhou Xuanji asked Daoya, old man. When he had nothing to do, he liked to ask about the Northern Wilderness region. Daoya, old man, drank a mouthful of water and smiled as he stroked his long beard, about 40%. Although their top-notch cultivators are not as powerful as the humans, the overall power of the demons is still stronger than the humans. Chongming Demon Monarch said proudly, we demons once dominated the world, even longer than you humans. It's just that we have declined now. The main characters of the world took turns, and today, the humans ruled. What's Xian Xianghua's ranking in the Northern Wilderness top 100? Jiang Shui asked curiously. Xian Xianghua was the top cultivator twice, But it was a pity that she was severely injured consecutively and could no longer hold on to the throne. Before the battle at Duantian Cliff, she could still be in the top 5. It's hard to say now, because she needs time to recover from her injuries. Deoya, old man muttered. The Northern Wilderness top 100 was a realm that even he could not reach. Who were the top 5? Huang Lianxin asked curiously. Zhou Xuanji was also interested. There was no first place in literature and no second place in martial arts. He had already set the world's top cultivator as his goal, so he naturally had to be concerned. Deoya, old man, introduced the group with a look of admiration. The world's top cultivator, Yang Di, the emperor of all times, dominating the past and present. The world's second, Ji Huang, demon lord, the sovereign of the demons, unparalleled in the world. The world's third, Jiang Wudi, reversing the yin and yang, wielding the Qilin zither. The world's fourth, Xian Xianghua, Tanhua in the human world, Azura in Hades. The world's fifth, Huangquan Drake King, overlord of the ocean region, able to summon the wind and rain. The group was fascinated by these names. These were the people who held the highest authority in the Northern Wilderness region. Deoya, old man, chuckled and said, "This Yang Di is incredible. He has been the world's top cultivator for 3 consecutive times and is known as the great emperor of the Yang realm. Ever since he was born, he has never tasted defeat. Back then, he defeated Xian Xianghua and became the world's top cultivator. After that, Tanhua's sect gradually declined." Zhou Xuanji squinted his eyes and asked, "Are they all at great realization? It should be higher." "No, they have surpassed great realization. The higher the ranking of the Northern Wilderness top 100, the greater the difference in cultivation. For example, Xian Xianghua could have ascended long ago with her cultivation and age, but she did not. She dominated the human world for thousands of years." Deoya, old man, shook his head. Speaking of these influential figures, he only felt admiration and yearning. At this moment, an arrogant voice came. "This place belongs to me, the little evil lord. Get lost now, or I will turn your bones into ashes and feed them to the dogs." The group heard him and frowned slightly. Chongming, demon monarch, stood up immediately and cried out, "Oh no, it's the little evil lord. Could it be that Haochi Alliance is already here?" Zhou Xuanji stared at him and cursed. "What are you afraid of? Follow us and take a look." He got up and walked toward the direction of the voice. The others followed suit. A big and small air spread their wings and flew over to support Zhao Songjian and Han Shenbua. "Little evil lord?" Chapter 172. After passing through the forest, Zhou Xuanji and the others came to a lake. The water in the lake was clear, and many fish were fleeing in panic, creating ripples in the water. There was a small island in the middle of the lake on which sat a huge tree. The roots of the tree were like coiling pythons, ancient and ancient. On the island, Zhao Tsongjian and Han Shenbua were surrounded by a group of demonic cultivators, while a man in purple stood on a tree branch. This purple-robed man was the little evil prince, Haochi Alliance's young master. He glanced at Zhou Xuanji and the others and smiled. "Ho, you have reinforcements? No wonder he's so arrogant." The three-eyed drought rodent stuck its head out from Zhao Songjian's bosom and bared its fangs at the little evil prince. Even though it was angry, it still looked adorable. The demonic cultivators turned to look as well. They were immediately attracted by Ada and Little Air. The 2 dragon eagles hovered in the air, looking extremely majestic. Every time they flapped their wings, it was as if wind and thunder were surging. The expressions of the demonic cultivators changed. One of them leaped to the little evil lord's side and whispered, "Young master, dragon eagles, and 2 of them. Could they be Sword God Zhou's group?" Now, everyone in the world knew that Sword God Zhou was traveling around the world with his sword slaves. The little evil lord frowned. He looked at Zhou Xuanji and the others, trying to determine who was Sword God Zhou. Zhou Xuanji stared at him and asked softly, "Are there any other powerful cultivators from Haochi Alliance nearby?" Deoya, old man, shook his head and said with a smile, "This little evil lord is already at the astral projection realm. He doesn't need anyone to protect him. Wouldn't that be a joke? No one to protect him?" Zhou Xuanji raised his brow and said, "If so, what are you waiting for? Knock them down first, then reason with them." Xiao Jinghong, Chongming Demon Monarch, and Beixiao Wangjian immediately rushed out. Deoya, old man, shook his head and said, "You're too wretched, a classic example of bullying the weak." After saying that, he flew over obediently and arrived in front of the little evil lord in one step. The little evil lord subconsciously made a move, but Deoya, old man, quickly sealed his acupoints and sealed his spirit energy, rendering him immobile. Zhou Xuanji mumbled, "I'm not bullying the weak. I even dare to bully the strong." This old man, his mouth says no, but his body is very honest. Jiang Shui covered her mouth and laughed. "What are you talking about?" Then, they flew towards the center of the lake with Huang Lianxin. As soon as they landed, all the demonic cultivators collapsed. "Where's the baby?" Zhou Xuanji asked without even looking at the little evil lord. Haoqi Alliance was after him, so why would he be afraid of the little evil lord? Not executing him on the spot was already benevolent. Han Shenhua immediately flipped his hand, and a Ganoderma the size of a water basin appeared in his hand. This Ganoderma was colorful and emitted a rich spiritual energy that was visible to the naked eye. Such a gorgeous Lingji, could it be poisonous? Jiang Shui asked softly as she blinked her eyes. Deoya, old man, smiled and said, "It's not poisonous. Instead, it's a good herb." The three-eyed drought rodent jumped out from Zhao Songjian's arms and onto Zhou Xuanji's shoulder, looking very happy. It preferred to stay on Zhou Xuanji's body because it felt more comfortable. Little evil prince stood still on the branch, his body stiff. His eyes were filled with terror and despair. It's over. If he encountered Sword God Zhou, could he survive? He couldn't help but think of Su Xianxian, the #1 beauty of Great Shang. He didn't even have the chance to kiss her before she died. He hated her. He had yet to become the Alliance Lord of Haoqi Alliance, and he had yet to rule the world. He had too many regrets. He couldn't accept it. Zhou Xuanji suddenly looked at him, which frightened him so much that he averted his eyes. Cold sweat covered his body. "Umph!" Zhou Xuanji smiled with disdain and left. The others followed closely behind. The little black snake charged at the little evil lord suddenly. Its tail was like a metal whip and whipped the little evil lord's crotch. In that instant, the little evil lord's face turned green. "Hurry up, you shameless snake. Be careful, or we will roast you." Chongming Demon Monarch's voice came from the other side of the lake. The little black snake coiled around the little evil lord's neck and hissed. It looked like it was going to devour someone. Under the immense pain, the little evil lord's body trembled. The most important thing was no matter how much hatred he dared not to show his ferocity. "Let me teach you a lesson. If you see us in the future, take a detour, or else," the little black snake said coldly. Its tongue landed on the little evil lord's face, which gave him goosebumps. It turned into a sharp arrow and flew away. In the forest, Chongming Demon Monarch could not help but ridicule. "This shameless snake is so venomous. He destroyed someone's treasure to carry on the family line. Who did he learn this from?" Jiang Shui and Huang Lianxin blushed when they heard this. Deoya, old man, snorted. "Isn't it because of some brat's sword?" Zhou Xuanji rolled his eyes and said, "Blame me. Little Black's food for this month will be deducted. If you want to blame someone, blame this old man." The little black snake, who had just flown over, heard him and landed on the ground immediately. He almost broke down. He rolled on the ground and cried, "I'm not convinced. Didn't I do it for you? Didn't the old bulls say that you have a relationship with the most beautiful woman in Great Shang? I'm helping you." Jiang Shui stared at him and snorted, "Another month." The little black snake broke down completely. He quickly came to Jiang Shui's feet and begged, "I was wrong. I treated him like this, and he will surely be mentally twisted. He will not let his women live a good life. I'm helping you." The group did not know whether to cry or laugh. This little black snake was too good at bullsh asterisk. The little evil lord's acupoint was sealed, and he could not move for a while. If he was eaten by a demon, it would be his bad luck. 4 months later, Zhou Xuanji, Jiang Shui, and the others finally came to the edge of Juedi Cliff. They stood in front of the cliff and gazed into the distance. In front of them was a wasteland that rose and fell in succession. Countless ravines and cliffs crisscrossed each other. There were also mountains that were like thorns that pierced the sky. Juedi Cliff. Thunderclouds covered the sky, making it seem extremely oppressive. Juedi Cliff, severing the life of a great monarch. 9 out of 10 people will die after entering. Without the protection of 4 god refinement cultivators, 1 will definitely die. Daoya old man sighed as he stroked his long beard. Zhou Xuanji and Chongming demon monarch could not help but think back to the past. Those people from the Hegemon sword sect were all at the spirit refinement realm. If not for Xian Xianghua, it would have been a battle. However, without Xian Xianghua, they would not be able to go to Juedi Cliff. For now, I'll just cultivate in the surroundings. In any case, it's right in front of me. There's no hurry. Zhou Xuanji said. Ever since he consumed the Ganoderma, his chi and blood surged, and his spirit energy grew tremendously. His cultivation had already reached astral infant level 3, but it was a pity that he had yet to break through to the 5th level of the sword chi golden body incantation. Everyone nodded in agreement and began to look around for a suitable place to cultivate. At the same time, 1,000 miles away, on the other side of Juedi Cliff, billowing black fog swept toward Juedi Cliff like a sandstorm that covered the entire sky. In the black fog, a silhouette could be vaguely seen. Juedi Cliff, all the great emperors of ancient times came here. What's their purpose? A cold voice came from within. There was a sense of inexplicable meaning in the voice. Roar, the roar of a dragon came from the black fog, and it sounded erratic. Soon, the black fog disappeared into the depths of Juedi Cliff. Thunder boomed suddenly, and countless lightning bolts struck down into the black fog, as though a terrifying demon had appeared. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.